Yo, 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 test, test. Big up to Shizzle. Big up Princess Dominique. Big up the people waiting. I think Age Case is there. Big up to Age Case. Yeah, just gonna see what's going on tonight because there's a couple other streams going on. The last little portion of the Ziriab versus Shia Issa, I think, is still happening over on Veddy's. It was a little sound clash to finish off a debate I actually missed the end of, and I can't. I don't think I'm going to be able to get the catch up as well because I think it's gone over 12 hours on YouTube. So if anyone is recording or did record the end of that debate, I want to see the parts that I missed. See, I was jumping about. Yeah, big up to Rayon. Big up to Age Case. Yo, Rayon, I was watching Raj's stream for a little bit, but again, I missed the main bit. I don't know what his announcement was, what this big announcement from Sid was. If anyone knows, anyone else was watching the Raj stream, let me know. Rajinder Singh, Rajinder Speaker's Corner Tatao, sorry, said the extremists seek hate preachers, secret war against. I'm gonna have to watch this thing, you know. But you're proper spamming it, man. Just post it once and done. It don't need to spam it up like that still. But yeah. What happened? Sid is suing 11 people. Alright. I hope I'm not in the 11. I was in the chat on the Raspect. I don't think I got on the stream, so I could well be one of the 11. I don't know. Yeah, did anyone's names get mentioned or not? No names. But yeah, big up to Veli Vision. I think the introduction was made. I think Raj has linked up Veli with Sid. Yeah, which hopefully means that there will be some I don't know what you call it. Some funding raining down upon the channel, upon G Block. The plants on G Block are going to get watered by RS Sid. Yeah, big up to Veli, man. Get him up to 1,000 subs. He needs to get the super chats and all of that popping off. And yeah, he's doing the daytime streams. Yeah, what is it, Monday to Saturday? So yeah, make sure you lock into Veli Vision, man. Thought it was spam. Oh, no, it's quit. It was definitely spam. Age Case, you're good with that, man. But nevertheless, cool. Yeah, just post it once. Rajinder. What was that? Are you talking about? I mentioned Sid. I don't know. Are you talking about Sid? RS Sid, and he's apparently suing some people. There was a big announcement on Raj's thing that I was sort of half tuned into. But yeah, okay. So he's suing people. Big up to the people with money for kind of, yeah, I don't know what you call it. Large amounts of litigation. Fucking, I don't know. Hello everyone. I see Wendy made a video about Pat. That's not surprising, to be honest. Wendy's got a bit of a soft spot for Pat. For those who don't know, Wendy's she's a bit of a fan of our Pat. You said something about people getting sued. Yes, so apparently RS Sid is taking a serious approach with people who are commenting on YouTube, people who are discussing him or defaming him, I think. I mean, I've heard it said before. This is the thing, that I've actually looked into it as well. I've looked into the costs, and unless you can, I don't know, unless you got a lot of money, or unless you yourself are trained in litigation, like it's kind of, yeah, the cost is a big buffer. A lot of people don't make it past that. So yeah, if you're poor, you basically got to put up with slander and all the rest of it. But if you got the money, then yeah. But I don't know. I don't actually know what. I don't know what Sid's issue is, to be fair. I don't know who he's got an issue with, so I can't speak on that too much. But yeah, not anymore. TOITN. Since when? Is this since like yesterday? because Pat was talking with with Jupiter and Wendy yesterday. Yeah, it's interesting on these hangout worlds. Like about a month ago, or 2 months ago, me, Pat, Veli, and some others were at the core of this supposed like drug ring at the heart of Speaker's Corner, involving like gang and Antifa and who else did Jupiter throw in the mix? The IRA, all sorts of yeah. I don't know. It was a spicy mixture of people who were all supposed to have organised themselves around some kind of common cause. Not sure what it was, but and yeah, I was doxing her kid. She was getting threatened by Pat. Pat was going to turn up on her doorstep. All this stuff, I don't know. And then she was on the panel. But yeah, I'm making observations about people. Yes, since my stream last night, more follow up today on Wendy's channel. Well, look, I've got to say it was a good conversation. I mean, Pat is yeah, Pat's very knowledgeable, and I guess the conversation just kind of flows downhill, like with Jupiter and Wendy being at the bottom of the hill, and Pat, yeah, kind of being But yeah, I don't know. I don't know what her issue could be. If you can maybe summarise it. But yeah, people were saying. Robert White said it's a funny old game. Yeah, it is. It is. I think basically just stay within the realms of reality. I think maybe getting into the whole the drama around it is maybe just. I don't know. Like it's cool. It's exciting to think that everyone's like conspiring. I say it's exciting. It's probably a symptom of like schizophrenia or something. But still, yeah. I don't know. Maybe it makes these hangouts a little bit more exciting to think there's these kind of cabals in the background. You do things online, and yeah, I don't know. Bit weird, but still. Saying that though, what happened with matey boy? Bob. Is it Bob? Yeah, let's see what happened with that one. Wait there. Who's calling? Oh wait, hold on, that's Ras. Give me 2 secs. Give me 2 secs, people. Solicitors are the issue. There's websites you can hire barristers. Wait, let me send a message to Russ. Yo. Alright, cool. 2 secs. I thought the chat was unfair to Land of Celts. How so, Jordan? How did you think it was unfair? Solicitors are the issue. There's you just get a solicitor to do admin work. Nevertheless, solicitor get between you and the barrister if you can. That loaded question of do you want the entire world to be Muslim? Are you saying with Pat? Well, no, I think I understood Pat's line of questioning, to be honest, because I think most people who hold some kind of belief system or who adhere to one would kind of scale it up, if that makes sense. So you would want what you have at a small scale to be the case for everyone. And it was interesting that Land of Celts kind of stopped short of certain things. For me, I thought that was like an enlightening conversation because, yeah, it exposed the boundaries of Land of Celts thinking. And I think I don't know, maybe he's a bit more moderate than them people. Jump on, Jordan, man. Yeah, maybe jump on if you've got a little bit of time. I'm not sure how long I'm going to be going tonight. Might go until sort of 12 or 1, but yeah, it was just sort of a recap show and just touching base. But I see you ain't a fan of Ash Sarkar, Tanvir Chima. Not really, nah. I'm not a big fan. Where did you see that? Was I commenting on Navarra Media? Yeah, I've been spotting loads of people in comment sections. I was watching well, I'm gonna get it up on the thing. Big up Latif's Kitchen. If anyone knows about Latif's Kitchen, yeah, big up to Latif. Latif's Inspired. Sorry. Yeah, I was watching a video on his channel. For those who don't know, let me just get up Latif's Inspired YouTube channel. And who did I see in the comment section? Grey Dunya. Big up to my Dunya. I've seen some other people about as well. But yeah, what was I saying? Yeah, I think with Land of Celts, well, there's rumours, aren't there? There's rumours about like what he may have done. Did he go to ICE? Did he go to Syria to go and fight against Assad? I don't know, man. I think there's some fair questions to be asked there. I mean, from what I remember, I've spoken to him. He seems to have. I think he's stopped short of saying if he's been anywhere or done anything. But I think he said that he was affiliated with a group called HTS. Forget the name now, but HTS is like an evolution of Al Nusra Front, which to me is like, it's dodgy. that's all a bit dodge. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. The intelligence services, security services know what they know. I'm sure he knows that. So fuck knows. I don't know. But yeah, people I think maybe are a little bit suspicious of him because of that. But to be fair to him, Land of Celts, from when he's had the opportunity, he's jumped on to question. He's jumped on to question certain people who I do think are extreme. But yeah, let me get the link out, man. Give me 2 secs. Alright, let's get convo going. Big up to Raspect. I got a little bit confused there. I got a call. And I thought it was for the show. Right, links out. Big up to Jordan M. Abu Bilal El Maghrebi said he's an agent. Could be. Who knows? This is the question. Who knows? I think it's possible. It's feasible. Let me get links out. Wait there. Yo.
Hello.
Yo, Jordan.
Hey, man, like that. How you doing, mate?
Hello.
Easy, man. And Raj, yes. Good evening.
Oh, great. I've jumped on at a great time. Do your thing, man.
No, wait. You both jumped on at the same time, but no. Jordan did jump on, with sort of a topic in mind. So yeah, we were talking about Land of Celts, Jordan.
Yeah, I think I enjoyed the chat. Particularly, I thought it's the first time I actually bothered listening to Jupiter. It was interesting that their opinion, talking to sort of Muslims and asking, in a Muslim society, if this happened, if that would happen. I think the thing where I thought Land of Celts was asked loads of times, would you like the whole world to be Muslim? And that question, I think, is where I think that question's pretty silly. I think, and I only really hear Muslims being asked that because that's kind of like the Anjan Chowdhury line, isn't it? That we want Sharia law all around the world. Whereas even in the Quran, it says there will always be non-Muslims, and we're split into nations and tribes, and basically, in a Muslim's paradigm, this is a test. This world is a test. We believe obviously in the next life. That's when everybody is the same. But Land of Celts was kept being asked. Would you want it all to be Muslim? And it was kind of this: does he want Ireland to suddenly lose all of its heritage? Does he want this? And it was pushing that kind of. And I think Land of Celts struggled because he was talking from a different paradigm, whereas they were trying to get at it from, they're on different pages. And I think that question's pushed quite a lot. Do Muslims want the whole world to be Muslim? And I think you'll only find the extreme Muslims, really. I think, generally speaking, we're on our own journeys and we all got our own tests, and we should be focusing ourselves. It's not about making the world Muslim.
Interesting. Well, yeah.
Are you talking about because I heard a very interesting debate with Pat. Obviously, I don't get on with Pat, but I thought you made some good points about how if Ireland ever did go under like majority Muslim rule and they implemented Sharia in its fullest, that it would literally not be Ireland anymore. It'd be a different country culturally. I mean, I think he said the percentage like 100%. I would say more 90%. I can't remember if he said 100 or somebody else.
Yeah, if a Muslim, if a land was to become Muslim, I mean, and look, the examples around the place where there's not kind of one size fits all. I guess because you hear Shamsi talk about, under the Sharia, that there's still people, non-Muslims still have their own courts, and people still have their own freedoms. Whereas you'll hear some Muslims say, no, everyone's going to have to, and you hear people were talking about taking things off of graves and things like that. I've never ever seen that in any of the scriptures. So yeah, it's quite a tough one to answer.
Yeah, but they did concede that certain things, like they said like crosses would not be allowed to be kind of shown publicly. That would have to be within the church. Now the problem with that is that if you've got graveyards or you have like crosses in certain places where they're commemorating someone, you're gonna have to take them down if you're really following it to its nth degree.
But then you probably find things in the scripture where you can't disrespect graveyards. I don't know. I'd need to look into that. I don't think sometimes we can take one point, but Islam, you don't look at it that way. I can't imagine them doing that, but I haven't looked into that enough.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say the main. I mean, there are different versions of Islam. Obviously, like you have like the Sufis and stuff like that, and depending on which one that is the majority, that's the one to what. If you have something like a Salafi, like a hardcore Salafi, or from that thing, they're gonna start taking things down like that. They would. It would just be I'm not saying that's the Muslim stance. I'm saying that's the more orthodox kind of Salafi kind of stance. They would start to kind of go really, really strict on all aspects.
Just to add on, from what I know, Pat is more interested in a kind of political ambitions, I guess you could say, or history of Islam. I don't think he gets too into the sectarian stuff. But I think with Land of Celts, Land of Celts' reputation kind of preceded him, and I think Pat, to sort of get a frame of reference for himself, kind of questions the ambitions of I guess you could say the more I don't want to use the word extreme, but I mean the group that he's mentioned being affiliated with in the past, and that he's spoken kind of in defense of, is like I would consider to be an extremist group. Well,
the thing is, there's certain places in the world that if Islam was to become the majority, it wouldn't change that much because they're probably their cultures are different. So, but if you look at somewhere like Ireland is basically a country a bit like Jamaica and the Punjab as well, which is about music, which is about dance, which is about a lot of things like art and stuff, which is something that would be forbidden, but other countries are not kind of known for that. So if you think about Ireland, what I think about Ireland is like fun-loving Irish people, the Gaelic dance and all of this kind of stuff, and the music, and all of that stuff would have to go. So
yeah, I mean,
Irish would be gone.
Pat also said that there's a very small amount of Muslims in Ireland, so the likelihood of
no, they were just doing a hypothetical.
It was hypothetical.
I listened to the whole conversation, and what the argument was is that Land of Celts said if Ireland become Muslim, majority Muslim, there would be very little difference to Ireland, And obviously, he was making that argument that very little will be changed. But once Pat started asking questions about what would happen to statues, what would happen to this, what would happen to the music, what would happen to the musical instrument, everything started to be ticked off. Like, you can't do this, you can't do that. And the argument was that once you take all these things out, it wouldn't really be the island you know of today. It would be a totally different place.
Yeah,
it was interesting. There was a bit where I think Pat was saying, I don't understand, because Pat's obviously quite close to his heritage, whereas he probably views Land of Celts as maybe giving the heritage up. So I thought that was quite interesting. I have the same chats with English people. Obviously, some people.
That's a troll.
Yeah, so it's the same with the Punjabi. So if you look at the Punjab, you got a lot of Muslims. I think the majority of Punjabis are Muslims, and they make up around 70%. So Bigars and other people, and the rest are Sikhs that are in India. Now, one of the big things about the Punjab for thousands of years was music and dance. So during the crops, when they had good crops, they would dance. There'd be drums. There'd be things to be dancing. And so the Bhangra music that you know of today, even though the Punjabis are majority Pakistani, nearly 95% of the singers and the dancers are from the Sikh side, because we still have kept that part of the culture of the Punjab. Whereas because of Islam, the other side in Pakistan, there's hardly any real, what I call kind of like Bhangra singers. Nearly all of them, if you listen to them, are all from Indian Punjab. So it changed the culture of the Punjabis from one side. This is one of the big differences between the Sikh Punjabis and the Muslim Punjabis. The songs and the dance and stuff. That's one of the things that definitely changes.
The thing is, people have this idea that if a country becomes majority, I mean, firstly, if it becomes majority Muslim, it obviously has a lot of Muslims in it. But if it was to become a Muslim run, all of a sudden, people wouldn't be able to do anything non-Muslim. I mean, my understanding is you would still have churches. It wouldn't suddenly blow up all the churches or get rid of things. And I think there are examples of lands where it's happened, where it's become a Muslim majority. And Jews, Christians have still been able to practice their religion. So I can't see why all of a sudden.
But Jordan, it depends on the version of Islam. You're looking at it from your version. So I'll give you an example. Once again, I'm going to have to use India. There was the Islamic conquest. Some of them were Sufis that come into India, and they allowed Hindu temples. They allowed the Gurdwaras. They even. There's one Mughal emperor who actually went to the Gurdwara and ate on the floor. Yeah. The problem is, then you had another leader called Aurangzeb, which was like ISIS on steroids, and he started tearing down temples. So he had one version of Islam, which was to introduce the jizya and to tear down temples and do this and persecute people by saying either you convert or die. And then you have other Muslims that are more Sufi or maybe more moderate who didn't.
Yeah,
and so it depends on the version that people are giving. If it's orthodox, it's going to be a problem.
Yo, if anyone in the chat or anyone listening can get hold of Land of Celts, if you've got him on Hangouts, and maybe you can jump on.
Hello, Dan.
There's a fake Raj on there.
For being on your panel. Just wanted to say hi to you, Dan.
Big up yourself, Witness. Welcome, man.
Dan, there's a fake Raj on here. You might as well snipe him.
Fake troll. That's cool. I'm running Wireshark at the moment, so. Sorry, go on.
Whoa, you're using Wireshark.
Yeah. For the people who don't know, yeah. Just for the trolls,
Oh, well, how's it going, Witness? I saw you giving Ralph a good run for his money, man. Big up to yourself, man.
Oh yeah, thanks.
Yeah, he needs it. He needs a bit of that work sometimes.
Yeah, fight the good fight against white supremacist scum.
Yeah. Why don't you join our movement then?
No, because you support Tommy Robinson and I don't.
All right. But you might agree with some. We'll have a discussion though, and you figure. I'll ask you about. I think Jordan will probably agree with some of the stuff I said, but if I think the Tommy Robinson part is what's making people kind of like put their guard up. So I'll have a chat with you at some point, and then you could tell me what you disagree with.
Well, you could argue that Tommy Robinson is maybe the more palatable option now that Mark Collette seems to be gaining traction. I mean, this is something that I've heard.
Oh, sorry, which traction? I was on Mark Collette's YouTube channel watching his live stream that had more than 1,000 people tuned in. It was him and a guy called The Great Order and a woman, an American woman. A guy called No White Guilt, Mark Collette and this woman. And they had more than 1,000 viewers. So I don't know where this idea that his movement is going downhill. He's still popular as ever.
Yeah.
Oh,
He's becoming more popular, unfortunately.
Yeah, he's somebody that, you know, when you listen to him, he sounds very reasonable. But you need to understand he's got a very dark past that he's trying to hide, and he still believes in what he believed in before. But he's just trying to make it more palatable for people. And you can argue the same about Tommy Robinson. I know people are going to say, well, that's just like, you sound like you're talking about Tommy Robinson. But I truly believe that Tommy Robinson, whether he was with the BNP before, I do believe he's moved on. There are things I still disagree with him on, like his rhetoric about kind of blanket statements, things about Muslims and stuff like that. And that needs to stop, no doubt about it.
I think Tommy's pretty much done now, isn't he? Can I address one more point? Because, you know, we went back to, you said about versions of Islam. And this is one of the problems you have is, so you said there's different versions of Islam, and then you said there's a version where they tear down temples.
Yeah.
For you to say that's a version of Islam, you'd need to show where that was in the scripture or... So you may be an example of a political thing or people behaving like that, and there may be Muslims that have done that in the past, but to say it's Islam,
so Jordan, the problem I have with it is that when I've said that this guy Aurangzeb is a fanatical ISIS deviant like a Khawarij, I've been told by Adnan Rashid of all people that no, this guy was actually a good Muslim, and this guy has gone on to kill the Sikh gurus. He's gone on to massacre wholesale Hindus for not converting, destroys temples. So whose opinion do I take? If I've asked somebody that's well respected, is this guy a tyrannical Muslim who's out of basically like a deviant kind of extremist? And he says to me, no, he's he's actually a good practicing Muslim. I'm going to start quick because I always say that this guy's, I'll say he's like ISIS on steroids, basically.
Yeah, well, it's similar to like you, Raj. You know, if I looked at how you behave, I'm not going to say.
Ali Kaan. I think that's Ali Kaan. Yo,
I don't know, just delete him. I'm going to have to.
Yeah, I can't delete him. He's got a hard link.
What do you mean hard link? I don't get it.
He jumped on quickly and got the link. Right, I'm gonna have to clone this group. If that's Ali Kaan, chill out.
I've got enough proof against Ali. If that's you, you know how much information and evidence I got against you. It'll be peak for you if I release it. Just calm yourself down, because like I said, you've been sending me stuff in the back chat about fellow Muslim brothers, and if I was to release it, you're gonna get into a lot of trouble. Stay in your lane. Don't clone my account, you little pedida, because I will release it.
All right, let's try and carry on. I think maybe we'll be all right. So yeah, the Mark Collette thing. So we kind of got into that. Yes. Oh no, sorry. You were talking about versions of Islam. Sorry.
Yeah. No, I'm not saying this. So Jordan, let me just clarify. I'm not saying that this guy called Aurangzeb is a version of Islam. It's Adnan Rashid saying that he's a good Muslim. In order for me to say that, and so for me, if you like, I don't know whether in Islamic kind of Prophet Muhammad's time, there's a guy that you consider to be one of the worst people. Now, for Christians, it might be someone like Judas, or you know, some of the people that persecuted him. That they will say, for the Sikhs, this Aurangzeb is like Hitler to the Sikhs.
I understand that, Raj, but just off the top of my head, that made me think about like how Germans might perceive wartime heroes like Winston Churchill, who are considered heroes by some people, right? Like depending on where you're placed in history, like
I agree with you on that. No doubt about it. I agree with you. One person's like from his point of view, he would be, but we do know that through that guy's. I mean, the reason why there's so much tension in India, even now with the BJP, and I condemn the BJP, the RSS. All of these people are like fascists and terrorists. I don't agree what they're doing with the Sikhs or the Muslims. But the reason why there's so much tension and they got so much traction with the Hindu population is because of the past of India, and especially with this guy called Aurangzeb. And when we hear people like Adnan Rashid, he just did a lecture, I think a week ago, actually supporting Aurangzeb. That plays it. That makes me start thinking. Okay, if he thinks that this guy that I see as a tyrannical ruler who worse than
British Raj getting
worse than Hitler, then
Pakistanis are going to conquer India.
God. So what is his version of a moderate Muslim then? Because if I see this guy as a ISIS on steroids, he sees him as a good Muslim. You understand?
Alright, I'm gonna have to clone this group. I'm gonna have to make a new group because this is just gonna.
Do I need to leave or what do you do?
Look, to the troll, can you just chill out, please? I don't want to have to do this, but it's fairly easy for me to get you out of the group. I just don't want to have to go through the motions, so just call out.
I think before we go on to we get onto the Mark Collette thing. What I'd say is that even for me, if I went myself on past Muslims, even historical ones that have been and gone, or I went on behaviours of Muslims, I may not be a Muslim today. You have to go on obviously what it says, and whatever this guy's done in the past, it has to be Islamic for you to kind of. It's a shame, isn't it, that from a Sikh's point of view, from the history, they are going to have that tarnished view on Islam.
Yeah, I mean, this is why, like, when people speak to me, that if you really look at the people I disagree with or I have long problems with, if you take out, you start realizing there's a pattern. Like, I don't really have problems with people from, say, North Africa or the Middle East or white or black. It tends to be from a particular group, obviously South Asians, because they're basically supporting somebody. They'll big up Aurangzeb, and they see him as a kind of a great leader. Whereas I see him as one of the worst individuals to invade India and as a tyrant akin to Hitler. And you can start seeing why there might be issues. Like, do you understand?
Yeah.
It will start to become like, okay, you see that guy as a good Muslim. I see him as an evil barbarian. Now, if you see him as a good Muslim, does that mean that you agreed with his actions? Then I have to question you as your kind of moral stance on my people. Did you see my people as worthy of being murdered?
But this is the thing. If you're judging, again, you maybe sort of weigh it up in terms of how many people were killed, how many, how much land was captured or whatever. Yeah. To someone else who might respect him, they may not be considering those factors. They may respect him for, I don't know, some charity work, some philanthropic work that he did with his wealth. Like, I'm sure these rich, powerful,
as a Muslim leader,
these rich, powerful people who do bad things are generally able to spread their.
Yeah, as a military leader, as somebody that was, in terms of implementing a strict, because his father was basically almost like a Sufi on steroids. Yeah, he's the guy that made the Taj Mahal, is Aurangzeb's father, and he imprisoned him, and he actually killed his own brother, who was actually it wouldn't be considered to be a Muslim today because of his kind of he's such a moderate beliefs. So a lot of people saw Aurangzeb as a throwback. Yeah, they saw Aurangzeb as a throwback to real Islam. And so when you see people like Adnan Rashid talking, because he's done a whole lecture on him for 2 hours, and in that he was saying that Aurangzeb was a real Muslim. He was one of the very few real Muslim leaders within India, and the rest of them were basically deviants. And so if you know Sikh history, the worst persecution of the Sikhs was under Aurangzeb. I mean, you're talking about the Gurus were executed, their children, Sikhs were massacred en masse, and even the Hindus were massacred as well. And then that's why right now the BJP and the RSS can just use that one person and say, look at this guy. The Pakistanis revere him, but he killed millions of our people.
So wait, let me get what you're saying right. So you're saying that the risk is that the far right in India will use the history as leverage, or they use it.
It's not a risk. It's what's happened.
It's what's happening.
Because you're having people saying big up Aurangzeb, and then to the Hindus and the Sikhs, we see Aurangzeb as one of the worst tyrants to ever go into India. And so it's easy because if you're saying you're bigging that man up, then you can easily use the argument. If you see him as a good Muslim, it's your version of Islam about destroying temples, killing people, paying the jizya, converting people en masse through intimidation and violence. Yeah. And then they'll get that view of Islam because that is the view they're supporting. But then again, in India, there's been other leaders that are basically Sufis that were very open to Hindus and Sikhs and stuff like that. But they were in the earlier times rather than later.
All right, so bring it back to England or bring it back to Ireland, right? Because I guess this is one of the factors that Mark Collette sort of talks about or considers, and Tommy Robinson has spoken about at length. So like the Islamification of the UK, and I mean, is this? Do you think that has an effect? Do you think people sort of learning about Aurangzeb has an effect? Because on the flip side, people have said with you that. Like I didn't agree with it, but I heard people say that because you teach kids about military, like Sikh figures who kind of by default, because of the culture, are militaristic, that you're radicalizing them in the same.
I would argue that teaching people their history. When I'm teaching, like if I do ever do the class, I don't do them that often. That I don't ever say these Muslims are bad. I say this guy Aurangzeb was ISIS on steroids. But there were other Muslim leaders, like his father, who was imprisoned by him, and his own brother was executed by him.
Right, I hear that. But
so I make sure I'm very clear that this guy is like an anomaly within the whole thing. Like he was basically the most strictest version of Islam you're going to get, and he was terrorizing India. And unfortunately, during the time frame of some of the most important points within Sikh history was under his rule. Yeah, so we can't tell our Sikh history without mentioning Aurangzeb. He's interlinked.
But it's probably the same for Muslims, no? They can't really.
They have to talk about the Quraysh tribe. They have to talk about the persecution. They have to talk about this. They're also with the Christians. They can't tell Christian history without talking about the Jews or talking about the Romans. It's impossible.
Exactly.
So do you stop them talking about the persecution that the Romans did to them because Italians might be upset? You get it? It's like where do you draw the line? Like as long as you make it clear that the individual you're talking about, like I always make it clear that this Aurangzeb, not only was he extreme, he killed his own brother because he said he was like a Sufi or something. He didn't agree with him. He killed his own, he imprisoned his own father, and also on top of that, he was killing Shias, Sufis, moderate Muslims, Sikhs, Hindus, anybody that didn't conform to his strict.
I'm gonna have to look him up. I'm trying to get some visuals up. But big up to Raspect, who just jumped on the panel.
Oh no.
Gang, big up the little Dan.
Big up yourself, man. You're silent now. I was thinking it was another troll. I weren't sure.
Are you on Pakistani Specs live over there as well?
I'm not sure if we're live. We may well be.
Those cockroaches over there are probably listening, I bet.
Big up to the Lions Den as well.
Pakistani Specs, they're little cockroaches over there, man.
Raj, was that whole chat there? Was that a sort of an admission that your deep-rooted sort of feelings towards Islam is due to sort of history and sort of media brainwashing to yourself?
No, it's not media brainwashing. That means that what they're doing is brainwashing me to believe something that is probably a propaganda. I've looked into because I grew up with Muslims all my life and I knew about these stories. But what I don't like is when people try and justify a tyrannical ruler as being a good Muslim like Adnan Rashid does. Because the reason, Adnan Rashid.
But Adnan Rashid is also Pakistani, no? So it's part of his. It's part of his history.
So you have to understand, like you're talking about two people from the same part of the world, ethnically the same, who have a different version of history of the same part. One side was the ruler who was persecuting, and the other side, the Sikhs and Hindus, were oppressed. Seeing them as an oppressor. So
this is where your message kind of like opens up a bit, because I think I've heard you say like recently your problem specifically is with Punjabis, like you've narrowed it all the way down.
No.
Is that wrong?
No. I would say in North India. So even if you look at Bengalis, I've never really had problems with Bengalis throughout my life. In fact, one of my best mates for 10 years when I was a kid, another mate when I was in my 18, 19, up to around 23, 24. And it's only since I've been Speaker's Corner I started having problems with Bengalis, because they're normally defending their Muslim brothers. Do you understand? So there's a unity. So I do generally have issues with people from North India.
But this is the thing. I think for someone like Jordan, when he hears Aurangzeb, like, I don't think
he doesn't know anything about it. It basic for him. It means nothing.
So it means, but it means something if you're from the subcontinent. It means it means something if you're from like Afghanistan or something.
There's actually shrines and memorials made to him in Pakistan, whereas in India he's demonized as being someone of the world. Is that basically just imagine Hitler, and that's how people like this is how BJP has managed to grow, because they use people like Aurangzeb as this is what Islam is about, and then when they hear people bigging up Aurangzeb, they'll start believing it. Like, okay, all right, maybe they do believe that this is the right version of Islam, even though there were so many different versions that come into India over the period. Some of them were Sufis, like I said. Some of them will probably be seen as apostates at the moment, if you look back at some of their rulings, because some of them used to go to Hindu temples, others used to go to the Gurdwara. So yeah, it depends on the time frame.
It's the same thing in my history, in Nigeria's history.
All right.
It's like because I'm Yoruba, and we had our own kingdom, and our kingdom fought against the Sokoto Caliphate.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't big up the Sokoto Caliphate, and I wouldn't big up one of their leaders, who's known as Dan Fodio.
All right.
I'll be back in 2 seconds. I just got a phone call.
Because he was from a different tribe, and they were Muslims, and they fought against the Yoruba, the Oyo kingdom. Yeah. So from a historical perspective, it's like I wouldn't support them. So yeah.
It sounds quite similar to so you know that problem there, does it still permeate now all those years later, like in the people there today?
Yeah, well, yeah, because in the northern part of Nigeria they have Sharia.
Yeah.
They've had it for 20 years.
I'm gonna have to do something about that trial, you know. I'm gonna climb this
20
tree.
years for 20 years they've had the Sharia in the north. So yeah, there's a tribal tension as well. So yeah, they are.
Let me say, if that is little Ali, yeah, I'm telling you something now. If I find that issue, I'm gonna release all the information you gave me in the back chat, all the evidence against your Muslim brothers. I swear to you now. If you're Ali Kaan, stop your bullshit.
Just release.
He's playing videos off my channel. But yeah, fucking hell.
I have this music on the. Oh, he's been quiet. Maybe it is Ali.
Ali, chill out.
If it's Ali, you know how much information I got about that little prick? He's lucky he's a little kid, so I don't release it.
How do you know he's a kid?
Right,
I know he told me he's 15. I don't believe he's 15. I think he's around 18. But the information I got about it, because he's been emailing me in the back chat, sending me crazy stuff. And I'm telling you, if I released it, it'll be quite peak for him. I'm not gonna lie, it'll be pretty difficult. I don't want to cause anyone any distress unless I have to. So stop it now, Ali.
Like Dan, if somebody was championing Winston Churchill, would you join in?
No, I've done that, and Dan doesn't join in.
Yeah.
I'm actually watching The Darkest Hour right now with what's it called? Gary Oldman. Yeah.
Oh right, yeah.
It's quite a good portrayal. The thing about Winston Churchill, like you need to separate like the fact that he did save the UK from an invasion by the Nazis, but it doesn't mean he was a good person.
No.
You know, you can critique like Mahatma Gandhi freed India from the British, but he wasn't really a good person when you really look into his life. He's done a lot of bad things, like, you know, so you have to separate the two things. He's not none of them are saints. Both of them had flawed characters and did some things that you might consider, like we'll consider today, to be very barbaric or wrong.
But with the ethno-nationalists, they're talking more, when it comes to religion, they see Christianity as being ethnically part of them, which is why one of the reasons they claim they are suspect of any other religion. I mean, historically, you can go back and you can see at one point their ancestors were not Christians. They were worshipping Woden, but they view Christianity as ethnically being part of their culture. That's what they say, which is why they frown at other religions that are not Christian.
Yeah, I do realize that when they see white Muslims like Jordan, they immediately say that he's not like I've heard it, like he's a sellout, he's thingy. So maybe that's the way they think, that you can only be British or English if you are either an atheist or a Christian. Because I do hear them calling him out constantly. That's one of the things I hear about him. He's not English anymore. He's a traitor.
Are you talking about ethno-nats? Or...
Yeah. So with you, like, as soon as they find out you're Muslim or poor, you're automatically out of the group, even though you're ethnically or racially an English person. They can't stop you.
I like that with Jordan anyway, so that's not just the ethno-nationalist thing.
No, I don't think so.
I'd say Jordan was British or even English.
He is. He's actually...
Exactly. So... You know.
My experience with the ethno-nats is that they as long as I'm having white babies, they just think I'm a bit weird. But it's more the Tommy crowd that see me as a traitor.
Oh, are you saying that the ethno-nats are more accepting?
Yeah, they seem to be. From what I've discussed,
I don't know if that's a PR nightmare or PR plus.
But Raj, Jordan's white, so why wouldn't they be tolerant?
Yeah, but like you said, a lot of these ethno-nationalists also believe that, you know, that having a Christian identity or some. They see Islam as an outside enemy force coming in.
Raj, would you agree the Tommy crew are solely based around Islam, whereas the ethno-nationalists, Islam's a small part of their agenda, really?
Yeah, I would say ethno-nationalists are more worried about the Jews. You know the Jews. You know those.
Jews.
No, that's not true. No,
let me just finish. Let me tell you. One minute. Let me just tell you the difference that I see. When it comes to the Tommy Robinson movement, I think they're more concerned about Islamification of the UK, and with the ethno-nationalists, they are concerned about Islamification of the UK or the West, but they believe the Jews have done it. They're the ones that are bringing the Muslims. They're the ones that are orchestrating all this. So ultimately, the way to solve the problem is to deal with the Jews. Whereas obviously, I don't believe that the Jews are behind any of this kind of stuff, and it's just happening naturally because of obviously birth rates and immigration and stuff like that. So,
Roger, when you say Jews, you mean like internationally, obviously, innit? Like,
Israel, they blame Israel.
Israel and basically Zionists, Jews, you name it. I mean, the whole lot. That's the main thing that they see as an enemy. So they would actually just see the Muslims as a kind of like a symptom of the bigger problem. That the real problem is the Jews. So when you hear their chats, it's constantly saying about bluish and the Jews and Israel.
Yeah, the bluish. Yeah. And they say that the Jews who are in power are pushing cultural Marxism.
Yeah. So
into multiculturalism and an increase and a decrease in the white population.
Yeah. So if you listen to their rhetoric, everything from the LGBTQ to the population, the indigenous population with low birth rate, the degeneracy of some of the kind of what I call like the real liberal views that people are becoming less traditional. This is all blamed on the Jews, whereas they just, like I said, they don't really see the Muslims as the real threat.
But see the funny thing about and this is the hilarious thing. Like Tommy Robinson, before ethno-nationalists started attacking him, had generation identity stickers on his laptop, to ethno-nationalist events. Like literally, he's never condemned the ethno-nationalists until the ethno-nationalists started to condemn him. That's the hilarious thing about it all.
I thought you was never going to speak about Tommy Robinson again.
No, I actually said final show on Tommy Robinson because he's dead, but he just started up a new movement, so it looks like he's still relevant.
I'll say it was like maybe like 8 hours of not talking about Tommy Robinson.
So I said final show. I didn't say not talking about him. I said final show to put it to bed, but I have to do another show because
I'm going to give you credit. 8 hours is a long time for you.
Because you pretended that you didn't see the show because you don't want to answer for the documentary.
I was asleep there. My dog was put down yesterday. I was a bit distressed. So I had to sleep. R.I.P. Gucci.
The documentary proves that Tommy Robinson is actually an ethno-nationalist himself, or a sympathizer.
He's not.
He's a sympathizer of ethno-nationalism.
No, he's not.
Hold on. If someone says, like I'm going to say it again, if somebody says that I want to keep the UK, say 70% indigenous, I do not see them as ethno-nationalists because I wouldn't allow the Punjab
identity sticker on their laptop amongst other ethno-nationalist movements. And if someone goes to ethno-nationalist organizations to speak and they're embraced by ethno-nationalists, then you have to say that they are an ethno-nationalist sympathizer.
Okay, what's this new movement he's just started then?
He apparently started a political party. I don't know too much about it. I didn't want to do a show on it because I didn't really want to talk about him, to be honest. But I'm going to have to.
8 hours is a record, though. Well done, though. Well done. Let's try and get it to 8 hours, 1 minute.
Yeah. Shout out Luca and Simon, the newly wedded couple.
That's crew.
Is he going for my missus? Luca, you how dare you? Who's that Luca going with my missus?
Oh, shit. Oh, shit.
You're cheating. Where's Sophia? Where are you? You better not be cheating on me.
Oh, shit. Oh, boy.
Who's Luca? He's doing some shenanigans, man.
You need to realise that these Nazis, they're a lot more hateful than the likes of Tommy Robinson. They're more dangerous as well.
They're still laughing with each other in the chat right now, Raj. Don't get him.
What? Wait. Let me have a look. On your channel, let me have a look. Let me go there because I'm gonna have to tell them off, man.
On Dan, you get me?
On Dan's, are they on there? Let me just check. Where are they? Oh, listen here, man. Stay away from my missus, man. She's being flirty. That's okay. But none of this madness, man. Don't you dare cross the line.
Oh boy.
Yeah. Very protective.
Oh,
Yeah, when you do your research, Raspect, make sure you get it right this time. Yeah.
Yeah, like the Fascist Beware documentary broke it down perfectly. You get me? So people can pretend they don't know.
Lister's an idiot.
No, Lister, Lister is a goddamn snowflake, and it does have some good points, even somewhere that's.
Raj, Wendy, what is it exactly about Lister that the both of you do not like? I'm curious.
Okay, what I don't like about Lister is when he asks people why they're proud to be white, and why he seems to have a dislike of white people in general.
He hasn't got a dislike of white people that cover up racism or are proud of actions done by white people like Winston Churchill, like you, Wendy.
Well, you see, Raspect, this is it. You see, you've jumped in because I just said a few things. I have a right to say those things. I don't need you to jump in and tell me otherwise.
Okay, can I answer why I have a problem with Lister? First of all, congratulations on Raspect and Sophia. And she's officially said that you two are an item.
That's you.
I will allow that because I think it's progressive for you to do that.
That's your boy.
Now, the thing is that when it comes to Lister, as an individual, I've met him at a park. I like him. I think he's a nice guy. But the problem I have with him is a what you call kind of like a big kind of virtual signaler. He wants to be the good guy. He wants to be the savior, and he treats people like myself, from a minority, in a kind of like a pet. Like I see this with the left a lot. They treat you like you're not capable of making your own mind up. That it's like bigotry of low expectation. It's very patronizing. Now I will say that he has done some good videos that has even made me think like, okay, this is wrong, that's wrong. And so I'm not going to say everything he's doing is wrong. I just think he's a bit patronizing, a little bit of a prick.
I'd agree, yeah.
Well, I think Tommy Robinson treated you much more like a pet than Luca ever did. So.
Like when? How did you treat
Luca? You got Luca. Are you jealous of Luca because he's with your missus?
The Lister ever did.
Oh, I thought you were getting
jealous. How did Tommy do? What did you do to What did you do to Raj then? What did Tommy do to Raj?
He's going to start going, oh, Raj did this, Raj did that. Raj did that. He was used there. He was there. Right. You just watch. She's gonna go through like video after video. Don't even ask him. I'm bored of it now.
Just used him as a token. That's what he done.
Okay, I was a token. Okay.
Sarah. He said that he was gonna put out the interview with Sarah, and he didn't put it out.
Oh, you said that like 1,000 times in a week.
Same thing he done with Tan as well. He done it with all of the colours in that video. He said,
how do you know he didn't do it with white people as well? Maybe he said to white people, I'm going to do a video and doesn't put it out.
I don't know if
you're making everything about race. Maybe he's just a prick.
I don't know. If you can bring a white person that can say he done that with them, then we can establish.
This is the problem I have here, is when people attribute everything to race when they're being mistreated. Like maybe Tommy done that to 10 other people and they were all white and I don't know about it.
Yo, Raj, are you looking to spit roll Simon with Luca?
What do you mean? No. Let me say so. Sophia Lewis is a lady of the highest order. She would never go into any kind of debauchery with you.
No.
But Raj, she's asking you if you know what a spit roast is.
He knows what.
I thought it's something to do with like a kind of like an oven. Big up to Torah. Big up to Torah.
For a guy who watches so much porn, like you don't pay much attention.
Yeah, I'm basically gone blind. That's why.
That's funny.
I don't know what I'm looking at. Yeah, I can see really, just to confirm that. That's just a bit of humor there, because people can't take humor. Oh, can I ask you something, Raspect? You said something quite important. I can't believe I'm agreeing with you, but you said something quite important that Lucas said that about someone's having sex with someone's mum who's a slave, and you said that's rape. Do you still agree with that?
No, I said the way that Lucas said that he was spit roll Rafi's mum. Yeah, Rafi's mum obviously not gonna consent to that.
Yeah.
And then Luca went on to talk about me and said that, and talked about children being fondled.
No. Go back to that. I know that's totally disgusting. And Luca, you're a sick, vile individual. Go back to the first bit because it's very specific.
That's the important part.
No. I didn't mention that part. You mentioning that part.
1 minute. That's the important part. Luca, started talking about children being molested. And Luca thinks it's okay to talk about children being molested. And he said it right here on Dan's channel. Yeah. So he's got an obsession with children being molested. That was the point I was making.
I agree with you. That's disgusting that Luca's a vile individual. But you did say one other thing that I want to concentrate on for a second. You said that if someone's a slave, that and someone has sex with them, that they're raping them. Do you still agree with that?
No, if this is what I said. I said if he said he's gonna force his mum to be a slave.
Yeah.
So if he's gonna force his mum to be his slave, in 2020, then obviously that's slavery. But that wasn't what I was pointing out.
How do you make someone a slave without forcing them?
I was pointing out the fact that he started to talk about my child.
Yep. We agree that's disgusting. But let's go back. How can you force someone to be a slave? How can you not force someone to be a slave? There's only one way to do it, to force them.
Why don't you talk about people's children being molested?
Yeah, I've said to you that's disgusting and it's vile, and the guy needs to freaking be condemned for that. But what I'm asking you about is the one thing, because let me.
You like to brush child molestation under the carpet.
Let me finish the sentence.
It's wrong, and then you try to brush over.
I'm making another point. So let me say something. One thing you've done, which is great, you've proven that your right hand possesses is actually, if you have sex with a slave and the right hand possesses, it's actually rape.
What it is that you like to. You like to cover for nonsense.
No. I've said condemn him. I said he's disgusting for saying he's a vile individual. And at the end of the day, I don't expect any man to forgive a man for saying that.
I had that conversation. There's a guy that is friends with Simon, and he likes to talk about child molestation.
Yeah, and what we're doing, and we're also going to talk about the fact that you said having sex with your slave is you're having sex with your slave is rape, and I agree with you on that.
Why doesn't Simon condemn?
If anyone has sex with a slave, whether that's right hand possesses or whatever, it is actually rape.
Why doesn't Simon condemn his wife for talking about children being molested?
Actually not condemned Luca.
Luca also mock someone's child being dead.
Yeah, and I'm not supporting him. I'm saying he's a disgusting individual. Whoever he is, man, he's vile and he's nasty. But I'm saying to you that you've made a good distinction now that if you have a slave and you have sex with a slave, it is actually rape. So well done to getting to that point. Because for a long time, I've always.
I like how you sweep under the carpet child molestation.
I'll say it again. Anyone making comments about anyone's children and saying disgusting things here is absolutely vile. And to be honest with you, if anything happened to an individual like that, I wouldn't really be losing any sleep about it. So
we can always talk about grooming gangs, Raspect, if you're that interested about it.
Yeah, we can talk about all grooming. We can talk about all paedophilia, but you don't want to talk about all paedophilia because then you're gonna have to talk about white people. So you don't.
Hang on, wait, hang on, right? I don't mind talking about white people who are paedophiles. You know, I haven't got a problem, but obviously other people have a problem with moving gangs. I know you do. I know you do. I know
I don't like talking about. You're normalizing it by talking about it all the time.
I know your opinion on white girls. I know your opinion on white girls as well. Yeah.
What about them?
Well, isn't it normal for them to be walking the streets drunk at 1 o'clock in the morning, 12 years old?
It is where I live.
Standard sort of thing, yeah.
But it is where I live.
Well, I'd rather talk about grooming gangs.
And your mate Real jumped on the panel to say the same thing.
I don't care hang on, I'm not real. Yeah, I'm not real, so...
Yeah, but still.
But still nothing. It's not standard. It's not. You must live in a very...
You're blaming me
in a very strange area.
For having...
Standard for a 12-year-old to be drunk, walking down the street at 1 o'clock in the morning.
I'm giving a life example of something what happened to me.
Well, it's not standard.
I was driving through Bruce Grove in Tottenham. 2 girls were crossing on the zebra crossing, drunk out of their heads, abusing me because I didn't see them. I just about managed to stop. And they were like cursing me out because I literally had to do an emergency stop. The person who I was with told me, don't try to speak to them. Don't try to apologize to them. They don't need help from you. Just leave it and drive. It's normal. And the
No,
person was a
no,
white
you
woman. The person was a white woman telling me, don't try to talk to them. Don't engage with them. Just drive.
Yes, that's okay. So that's a story, but you don't have to say, oh, it's standard.
What I'm saying is, if I'd have stopped to try and help them, imagine a group of white men driving past, seeing a Mediterranean or Asian looking man interfering with two 12-year-old girls at 1 o'clock in the morning.
How do you know they were 12?
Well, they could have been 14.
Well, you know, you've got your opinion, but you mustn't say, well, you can, but, you know, it's not right to say that's standard of a little white girl's actions. Most little white girls are tucked up in bed at that time.
Yeah, anyway.
Yeah, but you understand how that's problematic.
You're right there, Wendy. Yeah, but you have to understand that in certain areas, it is a popular thing to see young children out on the drink, you know, keeping up madness. Do you know what I'm saying?
No, but the question I asked was very specific. If you saw a 12-year-old girl, I didn't say race, if she was walking down the road at like 1 or 2 a.m. and she looked inebriated, what would you do? And Kaan's response, I got the recording.
Said, would you stop to help them?
Yeah, I said, oh yeah, all right. Would you stop to help them? And you said, what is their race?
And I said, what color? What color are they? And you said white.
Yeah, and then
no, he did.
No, you said if they. I didn't say that. I got the recording. You said what color? And I would have asked. I said it doesn't matter. You said if they were white, I would drive by.
Yeah.
So I didn't.
But we're in England. But we're in England.
I know, but can you not see how that you're making out as though white girls are less important?
No, I'm saying in England.
Any other color.
No. In England, where white is the norm and the majority, they are less what's the word? Vulnerable. They know the roads.
We've proven that.
They know the road. But that doesn't make sense what you're saying.
No, hold on. Right now in Manchester, where TYO is from, there's a report that has been given out by the council that is saying that it's the tip of the iceberg of how many girls that are being groomed just within that area who are white girls.
Bro. What you're saying is it doesn't make sense. No, but it doesn't make sense because if the geezers that lived in Manchester had the same opinion as me, they wouldn't be interacting with 12-year-old, 14-year-old white girls.
Let me finish. This is where your logic is flawed. What we're trying to say is that when the guys here that should have stopped these guys from doing that, what they saw with these girls, like you're saying, okay, they're 12-year-old, but they know what they're doing, so leave them with these grown-ass men who are in their 20s or 30s, because they know what they're doing. They're more grown up than other race of girls, and that's what they do. That kind of attitude allowed these girls here to be walking around with men double their age, and because people like you were thinking, okay, that's what white girls do.
There's no people like me. There's no people like me. I'm telling you that if you were the one that stopped and engaged with these girls and a bunch of white guys stopped in a fucking white van and jumped out and battered you, you wouldn't be having no fucking leg to stand on.
No,
yeah, I was trying to help them.
Hold on, I would still do it.
Yeah, because you're an idiot. You're an idiot.
No.
You're helping people that don't need your help. For a start.
1 minute. Let me tell you how I see it. If I was driving past and I just drove by, just for argument's sake, and then the next day I heard that a girl got raped or she was murdered.
No one ain't getting raped.
Dude, girls get raped and murdered all the time. What's wrong?
No one ain't getting raped, bro. These girls are gangsters.
You're saying, all right, so this is the exact attitude we're talking about. Because when you listen to what the police were saying, the reason they didn't take the girls seriously was because they were saying, these girls are from the road, these girls are like that, they're from foster care, they can look after themselves. What you're doing is proving exactly what the problem is.
No, it's not. Because those guys were using alcohol. They were using alcohol to lure them into a party scenario to use them sexually. I'm talking about we're driving on the road and you're seeing girls who aren't asking you for help. Who the fuck are you to stop and start offering help to people?
One minute, Wendy. So I made a very specific case that the girl was 12, a 12-year-old girl. I didn't say she was 15, 16, 17, 12 years old. I also said, it was late at night, like 2 a.m. Yeah? On top of that, I was saying that the girl looked inebriated, meaning that she didn't look like she was in her right mind. And so all I'm saying to you is that
you said inebriated. You didn't say she was asking you for help. You said, would you stop to help? So you're putting your morality on other people. Those people think it's normal and it's fine for them. You're putting your morality. What you're talking about is when Muslims go around on the streets telling people you're not allowed to be drunk on the streets. You're one step from that, you dumb fuck.
All right.
You can't do that. You can't tell white people, why are you drunk on the streets of London? It's their fucking country, you idiot.
All right, so
he's talking about 12-year-old girls, not
I'm
women.
saying to you that I'm not telling you to go up there and stop the car and start talking. I'm saying there's so many things you could do. You could just pull up and phone the police, keep on the phone and say, look, there's a girl walking down the road. I'm concerned. It's the middle of the night. I'm not going to go up to her because I don't want to be accused of doing X, Y, Z. Can you stay on the line? The road is this road. Can you send a police car down? Very simple thing to do in today's age. Yeah. And you don't even have to speak to the girl. What is wrong with that?
That ain't what you were suggesting.
No, but I was saying to you, what would you do? And you could have given that example.
Listen, do you know what I am? I'm a real person. I'm not this fake person who sits at home imagining what would I do in this scenario and that scenario.
Dude,
one second. I act instinctively. I'm not going to prime myself into thinking, well, if this happens, I need to do this. If that happens, I need to do that. That's a fucking pussyholes mentality. Do what you do and do it properly. You see someone and you feel that they need help, you stop and you help them. You understand? But no one ain't asking you for help, and you're driving your car, yeah? Who the fuck are you stopping helping people?
Calm down.
Look, listen, bro. I know that you're a Sikh and you have this idea that you're this policeman, that you got this fake material helmet on your head, and you got this fucking dagger in your back pocket, and you're the policeman, and you're 6 foot Sikh, and you're going around being a policeman, yeah? But what you're doing is putting your culture and your belief and your ethics on other people. If people want to roll around the street drunk, it's up to them. They don't need your help, bro.
Can I respond? First of all, I'm 5'10". Secondly, I don't wear a kirpan because I'm not baptized. Thirdly, I can't really fight. Fourthly, I have been involved just 5 years ago. I had to go to court because a woman down the road from me was getting beaten up by a man, and I intervened. So I would intervene, yeah, if it meant stopping that guy. If I get beaten up or whatever, that's just part and parcel. I'm not here to be the freaking savior. I'm just here to do the right thing.
Raj, I've helped a white woman that was getting beaten up by her boyfriend before, yeah. And when the police came, she turned on.
Yo, big up. Someone give me a rundown on what's happened. Sorry, I've been away. On a slick one. Someone let me know what I missed.
I told the story about my mate, who was a good mate of mine, and I helped her, yeah, because he was about to hit her, and I was the one that was being made to be the bad guy, and I'm the one that lost a lot of mates for it, even though I helped her. But I'm saying I still would have helped her.
No, next time I can't lie, I'll keep you 100. The next time I saw a domestic between a man and a woman, I stayed out of it.
No, I agree on that, but
I'm like, there might not be a camera in the other situation that could actually prove my innocence. So I'm like, you know what? Because when the police turned up, remember, he's probably got kids for her and everything. Do you know what I'm saying? So when the police turned up, even though I defended her, this is at Romford, yeah? Even though I defended her, like, her loyalty was still to him. So it's like there are situations where, especially if you're from an ethnic minority, you have to think twice about certain situations.
Yeah, I'm not saying that what you're saying is wrong, that it's a complicated situation. I agree with you. You're not, sometimes you might even become the bad guy. Yeah. You might even be the guy that, like with me, I lost a lot of friends over it. But at the end of the day, I still look back and say, okay, I saw a woman getting chucked on the floor.
What you're saying,
let me finish it.
You're saying let's be colorblind. Forget color. Color doesn't exist. That's what you're trying to say.
Can you just let me finish?
Yo, I'm back. I'm back.
Let me finish it. One of the things that Kaan said, which was right, he said, yeah, you're acting like the Sikh policeman. Trying to put your religion like as the way. Now, I'm glad you said that because my religion does teach me, yeah, in order to defend the weak, yeah, even if it means I might get the
it's very admirable, but is it appropriate?
I'm glad. No, it's not whether it's appropriate. It's what's right, and I'm glad you said that because it is my faith that teaches me to try and protect people.
Raj, but is it appropriate?
Raj, apparently Rowan said he wouldn't help the white girl. And
and Rowan's a little prick.
Apparently, when he said it, you said nothing.
Well, Rowan's a little prick as well.
Apparently, when he said it, you didn't say
No,
nothing.
I did say to him. I said, dude, like he just legged it by the time I could say anything. When I spoke to him
Hold
the
on,
next day on the
hold on.
panel, I did call him
Rowan
up.
was talking about, I don't know, 9, 10 o'clock at night. He wasn't talking about 2, 3 o'clock in the morning.
That's not what he said when he jumped on the panel, Wendy.
Can I clarify Raj's point? Raj, is your point, if I'm understanding right, that it's irrelevant of the victim's race, yeah?
I didn't. When I gave the scenario, I didn't say if a white girl was walking down the road. I said if a girl who's 12-year-old.
I agree with that.
And so let me just finish. So if I said if a girl's walking down the road, let me finish.
1 minute. You're forgetting to mention your own race. You're talking as if you're white. You're not white.
Let me just speak to Jordan. No, I said this year. I didn't even think about race. It could have been an Asian girl, a black girl, a white girl. I said if there's a girl walking down the road at 2 a.m. in the morning and she looked inebriated, what would you do? And his automatic reaction, what race is she? And I said, it's nothing to do with race. He said, okay, if she was white, I'll drive by.
Bro, Rod, let me say one thing.
They do.
I'm 46 years old. Every time I've seen a woman on her own staggering up the road drunk, she's always been a white woman.
A 12-year-old isn't a woman. 12-year-old isn't a woman.
He said 12, but I've seen that as well.
Yeah, but that's the difference. You're conflating something with something else, sir.
No, it's not.
If it was
Why do drunk women need your help?
Raj,
we're talking about a 12-year-old girl.
Raj, you're on record saying that you don't have any friends. So how can you lose friends that you don't have?
I said I haven't got no friends as of today. When I was younger, I had loads of friends. I was showing my pictures. Loads of friends over my life. Yeah. I've led a very hectic life. I remember I am 45. So for the first up to the age of like 35
Raj,
or maybe 36, I had loads of mates.
Raj, what you're saying is you've lost all your friends. Don't you think that means that there's something wrong with you?
No, I cut them off because they all drank. And I said to them, like, no, hold on. If the only reason your friend phones you up is to drink with you, they're not my mate. So anyone that just phoned me to drink, I said, look, dude, I don't drink no more. I'm not going to hang around with you. So that's it.
No,
so I lost
you had no friends then. So you had no friends.
Look, if somebody only phones me and they say, Raja, you want to come out for a drink, don't ask me how I am, what's going on, and all they want to do is drink. They are not really my friends. They were just people I drank with.
So that means you didn't have any friends then?
Yeah, then maybe I didn't. Maybe I had no real friends. I don't know. But most of them, they were not people that I want to associate with. That's an Islamic kind of view, I think. I think Jordan might agree with that. Like your friends here, if they're just phoning you up for the drink, they're not really mates.
Apparently, Apparently, even Raheem said he wouldn't do nothing, and the same thing happened. You get me?
And who's Raheem?
My question for Raj quickly would be, because I agree with you, it doesn't matter what the race of the victim is.
Yeah.
I would help any. It doesn't matter whether they're white, black, brown. If they're drunk and they're underage, then I would like to think I'd help them. So you're putting sort of no discrimination on the
it could be any color. Yeah.
But my question to you is, why do you then put so much emphasis on Pakistani the actual predators? Because you don't have that same standard when it comes to the people doing the grooming.
Because if you look at even Majid Nawaz was doing it. I know a lot of people don't like him, but even he's saying that, look, you've got to accept the fact that when it comes to this particular type of grooming, their mentality is very much like what Kaan is saying, that they see these white girls as kind of like grown up, even though they're not. They see them as like they can look after themselves, even though they can't. And so when they're abusing these girls, they don't see them as little girls. They just say, oh, this is what white people do. There's a type of racism behind it in the way that they're treating these girls.
But you're giving a groomer this kind of moral compass that they're going to look at their own type or maybe different races and go, oh, I'm not going to touch them.
No, I do.
Groomers.
No, I do believe that a Pakistani from up north would probably not do it to his own girls because he will see his own girls as being high. I've had it said to me. Someone like TYO says to me, oh, our girls are not on the street. And he also said to me something like, oh, because your Sikh fathers drink all the time and they're drunk and they don't look after their girls.
Yeah,
meaning that we're bad fathers.
Dangerous narrative to push, man. And you're more.
No, but that's what I've been told by TYO and other Muslims.
But your culture is from right next door too.
No, but it's very different. And I just showed a video of me being in the temple yesterday, and the two women leading the prayers. Wendy saw it. Were both women. Yeah, do you understand? So we don't have the same when it comes to the religious part. It changes the culture to a point. Like what I was talking about, music and dancing. music and dancing within the Sikh culture is very prevalent. It's like one of the most it's something that Sikhs love to do because there's no restriction under Sikhism for this kind of stuff. And
So
even in the
Raj,
Gurdwara, people leaving their prayers.
you're genuinely telling me that let's saying a Pakistani man in your scenario is going up the road, he sees a drunk Pakistani young girl, and he would just leave her alone and drive on and then wait till he finds a white one.
No, yeah, I believe.
I think you're giving groomers way too much.
All right, so let me say something. I believe that if he saw a Pakistani girl and he knew she was Pakistani, he would probably try and assist her and maybe even try and take it home, and he wouldn't do what he's going to do.
So you actually?
I do.
A lot of people believe that.
I truly believe that, because I see the way they talk about other girls from different communities. Like the way TYO keeps saying to me, I look after my daughter. I'm not drunk at the pub like Sikh men. So what they will see is that they see like the other cultures as weak. I'm not saying Muslims do, but Pakistanis a lot. See other cultures as weak when it comes to looking after the women.
There's a complete disconnect. If let's say I believed that Indian girls were easier and white girls were harder, and let's say black, it doesn't all of a sudden mean I'm going to start abusing children. It's a completely different mindset.
No, we're not talking about children per se. Although
I thought we were talking about grooming.
But the reason why they go for these people is not necessarily to do with the age. It's to do with vulnerability. So if they see a young child, maybe 12, 13, although they're still going to be pedophiles, their main goal isn't the age. If she was 16, they'll still try and do it.
You've just proved my point.
17.
It's vulnerability.
It's vulnerability, but I do believe.
But you know the main thing is, you can see the bias because Kaan said the same thing Raheem and Rowan said, but because Raheem and Rowan are not Muslim, Raj didn't hone in on it. Do you know what I'm saying?
But the reason I
1 minute. So because Raheem and Rowan aren't Muslim, he didn't hone in on it. But with Kaan, he wants to hone in on it. And then he's saying it's Kaan's mentality. But Kaan's mentality is opposite that of a groomer because he would not approach the girls. The groomer would approach the girls. So you can't even put Kaan and...
Wait a minute. Wait a minute.
Let me
wait. On Kaan's first statement on when it first happened, he said if he saw a 12-year-old Muslim girl, he might stop and help.
Oh yeah, he did say that.
Yes, he did.
Yes. Cultural.
Oh yeah, he did say that. He did say that.
A little white girl walking down the street, drunk for some reason at 1, 2 o'clock in the morning. Oh, that's all right. That's normal. That's fine. That's standard.
I can't lie. Just to be safe, I'd find like a white person and I'd stop them and I'd be like, yo, and I'd get them to deal with it because just to protect myself.
Well, that's better than doing nothing, isn't it? Really?
No. The reason why this is important is because one of the things that people need to understand is like it's not necessarily the people that were grooming or the people that were using those girls. It was actually the people that were watching this go on, and they knew it was happening around the community, but they didn't call it out. And this is a problem because I believe a lot of people in the community saw these white girls as little kind of like just meat. They didn't really respect them. They saw them as like, okay, this is what they do. This is their culture. This is what they do when they go out. They're loose and stuff like that. And that's why they didn't have an issue with actually calling it out.
That happens in everywhere. That happens in you hear paedophiles being covered up all over the media in Hollywood. You hear it's generally sort of a thing that's happened. It's not exclusive to Pakistan.
Look, this is a very, very kind of unique scenario because what you have to understand within this particular grooming epidemic is that there were brothers, there was relatives, cousins, uncles, work colleagues, whole communities kind of like, going around in groups doing certain things of a legal nature, and it wasn't taboo. Now, within the other groups, the pedophiles that we know are the majority, those people are normally shunned within the community, and they're normally either loners or 1 or 2 people, and they're doing it kind of like behind closed doors. With this situation, people are going to mini cabs, they'll go into these little restaurants, these little burger joints, and they were openly doing this. There's cases of fathers trying to go around these guys' house and try and get their daughters back, and the police actually went against them rather than the thingy, and it was just a norm to do it. And this is what I'm saying. It's a cultural issue within the Pakistani community
do
up
you know
north.
what it is? Let me tell you one story. Because when I in my clubbing days, when I used to go out, I remember.
Oh, clubbing days.
I remember. You used to go out to a club, and at the end of the night, you would see all these sober people turning up at the end of the night. Most of them all white. You'd see them outside the club, waiting to pick up any girl that comes out, whether they're underage or not. And they would get taken home. The thing is, that would never be reported as a crime. No one even thinks twice about it. It was all just normal.
No, but you're not
for whatever
understanding.
reason, when the brown man does it,
no, but you're not understanding. No, you're conflating two totally separate things. All right, so you're talking about guys that when a girl leaves a club at night and she's probably 18 and above, and these guys are waiting. That's a different scenario. Yeah, obviously that's much more complicated. But let's just say for this sort of simplicity, that the girls are allowed into a club, so they must be of a particular age, and when they're coming out, there's guys that kind of take advantage of the fact that they are a little bit tipsy and they're not. The difference between that is that these girls are probably still either in a group or they're still kind of responsible as adults. The problem with these girls here, well, a lot of them were young girls between, if you look at the ages between maybe 12 to around 16, and the way they were being groomed was that they will be befriended. They would then be taken to these kind of burger joints, something like these kebab shops, given food for free. Then they will start being put onto drugs, giving them drugs, getting them hooked onto alcohol. And then slowly, they would groom them to the point that they could pretty much start asking for sex afterwards. Now, these were girls that weren't just like, walking out of a club. They were literally like young girls that were at school and places like that. And they were vulnerable as well. They're two different things. You can't conflate, what was happening outside a club with adults to what was happening to those kids.
No one could never do that to my daughters. Like, the parents have to really knuckle down on these stuff as well, though, man, because it's nuts.
Yes, I do agree on that point. Yeah.
Children are so accessible by these guys that I don't even understand it. Do you know what I'm saying? As a father, I don't get it. Do you know what I'm saying? How can these dirty men even speak to your children? No dirty man can't even when I was at Speaker's Corner with my child and people tried to say, look, I'm even defensive about that, let alone. Do you know what I'm saying? So it's like, I don't even understand.
No, but you can't look here. I understand what you're saying here. The parents do need to take some form of responsibility. But I'm telling you, man, there are cases, and I know people don't believe my situation. I've given up on even trying to convince people that the family was a really good, strong family. And when someone wants to, if someone's vulnerable, like a young girl and stuff, yeah, and they're in a bad place mentally, but they're still from a good family, because people cannot control everything when they're outside. Like when they're going to school and stuff, you can't watch them 24/7. And this is when the guys take advantage when they're going home or place like that. And yeah, fair enough, the parents do need to take some responsibility, but ultimately, yeah, they're still children. Yeah.
But Raj,
and so it's the people that are doing the crime that need to be held responsible.
Let's take the mass amount of people that are grooming online. So they're befriending girls on the internet, and then meeting them and then sleeping with them. You don't talk about that. Why? Because it's not a grooming gang, or because it's not a.
No, because I don't believe. All right, so let me explain what. Now he's asking me the question. Yeah, you're not wrong.
Say one thing though. I firstly think we need Sharia law for the nonces, and I think that social service needs to take away the children from the parents. That's what I would do. I would go to the nonces. I'd chop off their penises, and the parents, they can't have children. I don't care. You can't have children no more.
All right. So let me explain why I have an issue. Now, if you were to say to me that there's a problem with grooming online, I don't think anyone would disagree with you. Yeah, there's so many cases of people meeting these guys and they busted them. They're from all different races, different religions. There's even Sikhs in there. There's Hindus. There's black. There's white. Everything. When it comes to the Catholic Church, no one disagrees. There's a massive problem. I mean, the church is going to go bankrupt. When it comes to pedophilia, we know there's an issue, and the most people that the group that is most responsible for it is the white indigenous population. When it comes to people going to abroad, like to all these countries, to find children, we know the majority of them are white. But the problem is, no one says that's not happening. The problem with the grooming epidemic is the denial. They're saying there's not a problem until they get to the point and say, okay, let me finish.
It's not true, though.
When they get to the point and go, okay, there's a problem within the Pakistani community, especially up north, that is kind of causing this issue. Let's try and deal with it and accept it, and then maybe we can kind of resolve it. They are still in denial, no matter how many cases come forward, how many times people are trying to tell them, they refuse to acknowledge it. Until they get to that point, I'll probably keep on talking about it because they're still not at that point. They're still
Raj,
in denial.
Can I just documentaries of people in mosques, of Muslims organizing in Rotherham, in Bradford? Plenty of videos that Raj never promoted or said existed or didn't know existed.
When did I say I didn't know existed? But well done for them to do that.
Can I just say something, Raj?
Muslims, especially the Muslims who live in the areas where it's happening, of Muslims addressing these things.
Well, maybe people like TYO, Ghost Speakers Corner, and all of these guys need to start addressing it as well and stop denying it. And then maybe I might.
Right.
You know.
One more thing. You're claiming it's just the denial that's the issue. Yet you're pushing the saying that Pakistanis actually they target white people.
Yeah, and I agree.
It's really a consistent stance.
No, it's not.
You're kind of treading along.
No, it is consistent. I'm saying,
Jordan.
He's asked me a question. I'm saying that the Pakistani community has been targeting.
You're just going to repeat yourself.
As the Pakistani community is targeting up north, not London, but up north, are targeting other groups outside of their community, whether they're white, whether they're Sikh, whether they're Hindu, whatever, and they are, depending on what group, are using or abusing them, up to some point, and they are still in denial of that happening. No matter how many cases come forward,
so Raj,
they're still in denial.
Do you think the media focus is changing the perception of Asian men?
Yeah, I mean, it probably is. I mean, it's sad because there's only like maybe 2 or 3 Sikhs involved, 2 or 3 Hindus, and the majority, and not many Bengalis, not many, not many. Let me just finish. So he's asked me because not many Indian Muslims. Indian Muslims are actually one of the most affluent groups, but it's mainly Pakistani.
So I suppose
mainly from the Kashmiri community as well. So even in London, most of the Pakistanis I've met in London are normally from Punjab. And most of the ones from up north are they're actually tarnishing not only the Asian community, the whole Muslim community as well.
Right, but what I'm trying
that's a lie. That's a lie.
Hold on, wait, Kaan. One sec.
Bro, I was waiting, man.
Yeah, bro, I've hardly spoken. I just want to sort of try and organise it. I ain't even said big up to you yet, so but big up. But
yo, brother Dan, I'm so sorry to cut you. Yeah, I'm so sorry to cut you, but I'm about to duck out in it.
All right, Ras, big up yourself, man.
Down to the Pakistani den.
Big up yourself. It's 12 o'clock. I've been trying to lock off at 12 o'clock for the longest. I'm so glad that it's
yeah, man, bruv. I heard you attempt it the other day, and then RS Sid gave you.
RS Sid is going to be suing some people. I don't know who. Already, the first one is going to be Talochen that he said, and then he said 11 other people. So I don't know who they are though.
You can talk about that later.
I'll be rolling out the names as I know. Now, I might not even agree with some of them. I haven't got a clue who they are.
Wait, Raj, one sec. Yeah.
To be honest, that day, and this is just me being honest, that day, probably the most outlandish statements came from you get me?
Yeah, so, I agree. I had to report, I had to go to PC Barnes. I do know that's a bad look, but I had to do it.
So you went to PC Barnes you snitched on RS Sid?
Yeah, I did. I told him I did.
Okay, no. But anyway.
I'm consistent then, aren't I?
Yeah, but I just want to say that the Pakistani is about 1.17 million, innit? You get so it's not even 1% of Pakistanis involved in these things, and I just thought
you still are not taking into account the girls paid hundreds. Hold on, 1 minute. No, what the girls are saying is that there were hundreds of people that have not been convicted that you abused them, and it's only been a minute. When you start listening to the stories of the girls, you realize that they were groomed for years, and hundreds of girls, hundreds of men used them that were never found.
I'm not disputing that. I'm just saying there's 1.17 million Pakistanis, and based upon the statistics that we got, the evidence, the proof, the facts.
I reckon there's 30,000 men out there from Pakistani descent that need to be arrested.
Based upon all I can go off facts. I can't go off of hearsay.
Can you take the girls? If the girl is saying that she was shipped around North England and was abused by hundreds of men that she can't remember.
I can't go off hearsay. There might be girls that say that there's big Sikh guys doing it, but I need the statistics of the Sikh guys doing it. I can't just say just because the girls are saying there's Sikh guys doing it, I'm gonna go for that. So I'm saying based upon statistics and evidence and proof we've got, it's less than 1%, way less than 1% as well. Yeah.
All right, so also they said there was 1,500 girls just in Rotherham, and only a handful are pressed charges.
Our main point is that you can't tarnish a whole community based upon.
No, Majid said 80 80% of Pakistani Muslims out of the 1 million. Yeah. So that's the way he did it. That's the way
No, he didn't do that. He didn't do that.
Yeah, big up.
That would make it like 800,000.
Big up yourself, Raspect, man. Big up.
Let me clarify that before you go, because they're going to use that and say Wendy said something. Let me clarify that one statistic.
Raj, 1 sec.
Big up, Ras.
Big up yourself, man.
I'm gonna just wind down on my one and then gonna send people over that. Yeah.
Big up yourself.
Yeah. A lot of legal papers, going to be served by RSID, so be careful, everybody.
So what was it Majid said, Raj?
So basically, the Quillian Foundation is saying out of the convictions of groomers, which is around 400, 85% of them are from a Pakistani background. Not the population of Muslims, because otherwise that would mean that out of 1.7 thingy, there would be nearly 1 million groomers.
Wait there, hold on. So 1 sec. Bilal Stallion, sorry, your name's jumped out because I've not seen you here before. Raspect will make any excuse to defend Pakistani groomers.
Yeah.
Because he's been funded by Pakistanis. He'd rather blame the parents than the groomers. It's a bit mad. I mean, to be fair, the first time I spoke to...
It's not an excuse, is it? If he's pointing out statistics, it's not really excuse.
It's not an excuse. No, I think he's... he's being precise in the information that he's...
Yeah, what are you saying? You could...
Big up yourself, man. I don't think we've spoken before, man. Welcome to the panel.
I've been once before. I was here once before. You good?
Yeah, good, man. I'm not sure that's defence. And I mean, me and Wendy actually had our first kind of argument about this topic.
I forgot, but yeah.
Look who's on the chat, Land of Celts. I think he's come forward.
Land of Celts, he's on the panel. Yeah, he's on the panel. Yeah, he's here. I'm going to bring him in a sec. Oh shit, Kaan jumped off. I was going to bring Kaan in.
Land of Celts, he was bodied up the other day.
But the parents thing. I mean, a lot of people call that like victim blaming. Because generally speaking, families are considered like the victims of this. It's not just the...
Yeah, but the thing is, Dan, the thing that infuriates me...
So it's a difficult one, because I think to have a legitimate conversation, you have to discuss the parents. Because as Raspect was talking about it just now, and he was talking about kids having to be put into care, I immediately thought, well, some of these kids were in care. Like their parents...
Yeah, I mean, the problem I have is
their parents,
is that...
Their parents were either on drugs or whatever else, just unable to provide.
It's not always the case,
you got to look at the amount of cases.
It's not always the case.
You got to look at the amount of cases where the child knew the attacker way before. Do you know what I mean? So sometimes the parent thinks that it's a friend and it's not a friend. They're attacking their child. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
so
and the thing is,
blame the parent.
Yeah, what frustrates me is that they're putting so much and until it goes on your doorstep, you don't understand how manipulative these kind of groomers are. They are very, very good at what they do, man. And I've seen it with my own eyes. Like I said, they can believe me or not about my relative. I don't really care anymore. But I saw it with my own eyes. A good family, affluent family, middle class. Girl was very, very kind of like level-headed, but somehow was manipulated by these guys when she was a young girl. No, she's still a kid, and then used and abused. It can happen. It's not always the case that the girls are from bad backgrounds. Land of Celts, man. What happened over there? You got like bodied up, man.
What?
Yeah, I was gonna bring this in actually. So Jordan M jumped on the panel. The first topic we discussed tonight was the conversation you had with Pat yesterday about let me bring it back about Islam in Ireland, like a hypothetical. And I think Jordan M felt that the questions were maybe a bit unfair. Jordan, maybe if you're there, if you wanna address.
Yeah, I'll summarise what I said at the beginning. It was when they were asking you, Land of Celts, about, do you want the whole world to be Muslim? You clearly were saying, that's not in the Quran, that's not really, but that question's pushed, and that's kind of like the Anjem Chowdhury kind of line that people love. Yeah, and I think I made the point that that in the Quran, obviously, it's clear that there are always going to be non-Muslims, which you clearly addressed. Yeah, and I think for us, like I said, in our paradigm, this world is a test, and then in the next life is where we're all going to be Muslims, and so this constant question to Muslims about, do you want the whole world to be Muslim, is a pretty ridiculous question, but it's asked a lot only of Muslims, and I think you were asked about 8 times, and they just kept pushing it.
They wanted me to answer what they wanted to hear.
Yeah, it's an unrealistic question, and it's not even. Yeah, so it's nonsensical, and when if you did, well done for not answering it, because if you do answer it, then you will get outrage, and then all of a sudden people asking you all sorts of.
See, what I was just trying to explain to them is like each people have their own. Each Muslim country is not exactly the same. They have their own culture, they have their own language, their own way of doing things. And I was saying, like, in today's world, like today's modern world, it's a Muslim state in today's age. We're not talking about 1,000 years ago, but I know that is what people think of when they think of like it's not some like ISIS type state. Or I was explaining, like, in today's world, now it's never going to happen. We know it. It was like as I was explaining it's like, when people say they talk football, or they say, give me your dream team, the best team ever. Something like that. It's just fantasy, not.
Yeah, but under Celts, under say, just for argument's sake, is Ireland become majority Muslim, like maybe 90%. Would you still be able to do like the dancing, the Gaelic dancing, the music, the kind of comedy that they have, which is very kind of like against even religion and stuff like that? I mean,
yeah, but that's see what you were picking out as There's one thing what people see in Irish people. A lot of foreigners, they have an image of Irish people, what they see off the television or what they see off the movies. Up until about maybe let's say 50, 60 years ago, people actually believed that there was leprechauns in Ireland.
No, but I'm not asking you that. I'm not asking about stereotypes. I'm asking you, would you be able to still do that?
Yeah, but
like, no, it's a very simple. Could you still be able to sing with instruments and drums and guitars and all that?
I'm going to answer you. Listen. Look, what you're saying is Irish culture. What you believe is Irish culture. This is all new. Many of the things that even Pat, right? Now, Pat, yes, he's from what I know, his mother and father is Irish, but he didn't grow up in Ireland, so he doesn't fully understand like Ireland like the way I would. So a lot of the things that he's claiming, and even you, the same thing, you would think that is Irish culture. It's not.
Oh no, but I'm not. I said let's get the argument out. That's not Irish culture. That's something that we think is Irish culture. Right. I'm asking you a more specific question.
Yeah, I understand your question. Your question makes sense because before Christianity came to Ireland, they had something in their culture, their own belief systems. They were talking about characters like Culcullen, and then the religion comes, and then that belief system is suppressed and then disappears, and most Irish people don't know about the religion of their ancestors. So if another Abrahamic religion came, it would replace whatever was there.
So that's all I want to know. I mean, would they be able to? I'm not asking a very specific question. Under an Islamic rule of Ireland, I know this sounds a bit silly, but would they be able to still do like all the dancing, the Irish dancing? Could they still sing? Could they still do a lot of things that people enjoy to do? Would they still be able to do that?
Obviously, some things would be stopped. Some things would change. I don't know, because I'm just giving you the things that the definites, like the things that would be. I can't tell you exactly what would be stopped, but the discussion that we were having was Pat was saying if Ireland changed, it would be the end of Ireland. It wouldn't be. They wouldn't be Irish, right? So, but I say to that was, many people say, well, Ireland is a Catholic country, and the Roman Catholicism is built into Irish culture, which it is. Even I'll admit, right? But at one time, we were Druids. You know where the Druid is?
Yeah.
Like Ireland was a Druid country, and it's sort of like a weird thing, like similar to paganism, but they were known as Druids, right? Now, when the Catholic religion came and took over the whole of Ireland, swept up all of Ireland, that means that, by what Pat was saying, that Ireland was no longer Irish then. because when the Catholic religion took over, that means Ireland wasn't no longer Ireland again. See,
Yeah, I get what you're saying, but I'm more kind of going on to, we can argue about the past that things have changed, and the island that was once perceived to be Irish is now changed to a different form of Irish. I get you. It will change even in 500 years. We'll probably look at the island today and say, oh well, with nothing like that now. I'm just trying to figure out like what would actually go. Like, I'm pretty sure all type of real kind of like dancing and music, if it's to do with can someone snipe that? Someone's put a picture up on one of my family members as an avatar. I'll find out who that is. Can you please snipe that, Dan?
Who is that? Who's Gary?
It's probably Ali. Do you know what? Yeah, Ali. If that is you, and I find out it's you, you're gonna have a problem, man.
Don't put up. Leave his family out. Look. Look, I will say one thing. If you have problems with Raj, leave it with Raj. Leave.
Whoa. Let me deal with something, bro. 1 second. I'm watching Twitch. A man is lying on mine in 24/7. It's got nothing to do with me. I swear on God.
Was it Afghan? Whoever it is, you better take that off.
I've just come in here just to clear my name. I'm on Twitch, just chilling out. So don't accuse my name again.
Hey, shut up, Ali. Go back in your pram.
That's Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab. That picture.
No, is it? Oh, is that Wahhab? Nah, that's not him. He looks
That's not him. It's not him.
That's a fake picture, man. He's got a fake beard on.
It's not.
No, it's a real beard. He's my sheikh.
No, it looks like something you buy at a pound shop.
So Raj is dissing my religion again. So.
Right, are you gonna run your mouth? Do I need to start sending out emails all over the place?
Why are you attacking?
No. Do you want me to start sending out emails all over the place, including someone on the panel?
Let's leave that out.
Do you want me to start doing? Do you want me to say it right now? Say yes or no, because I can make your dreams come true. You know.
No.
All right, so shut up then. Stop mentioning me, and I won't mention you.
All right.
You Afghan candidate, yeah. No heat for Afghan candidate who's on a picture of one of your family members.
Who's that? Someone in the side chat.
I don't know who that is because the person hasn't spoken. You can't tell me it's Afghan if I don't know it's Afghan.
So yes, send email. Thanks.
All right.
I need to go anyway. So yeah, I need to go anyway. I have to go.
I just came in. My name. I'm on Twitch. I'm not even on YouTube. Okay.
Yeah, stop doing your bullshit with me. I don't like telling you off because you're like a freaking some squeaky little goddamn rat. I don't have to keep telling you off and then bullying you. Everyone's saying I'm bullying you again. God.
Before you go, Raj, I wanted to say something to you.
Oh no.
I think it's admirable how much you care about your community, and the fact that you've made yourself into this vilified character. I know you're doing it for your people because you believe that you need to draw a line between what is a Muslim and what is a Sikh, and you want to appeal to directly the right wing who you feel could be, attacking Sikh people. So I don't really think you're a right winger. I think you're just trying to appeal to the right wing, and you're just trying to show them that you're not Pakistani. That's basically the whole purpose of your existence. Yeah. And the more you vilify Pakistani,
no comment.
Kaan, you started off well. You started off well, but you could be.
No comment.
I think
the more you vilify Pakistanis, the more you kind of put a line between you and them.
Smashed it.
And that's all you're doing, really.
Yeah, nice compliment with a nice punch in the face.
I think that's constructive criticism. If I'm honest.
Yeah. Right. So look, I've never really lied about.
He knows. Yeah, he knows.
I don't know. But I'm not trying to vilify another community. I'm trying to point out.
No, you are.
Kaan,
give him a chance.
The other community, like the Sikh community, has problems with alcohol. There's no doubt about that, and there's other issues that we can go into. Obviously, we've got an anger problem as well, as you saw from the other day. We're not the most. We're quite volatile.
Big up RS Sid. I understand the passion, man.
Yeah, but when it comes to this situation, it's frustrating when they use Asian grooming gangs. They do this, they do that, and the whole of the communities around there, because they look the same, are all bunched in the same bunch of a group of people up north that are doing bad things. And even Pakistanis are also for the ones that are in London, because in London they're not doing it. It's the ones up north in these kind of towns that have been ghettoized that are doing a lot of these kind of issues. But I have a right to be able to kind of distinguish myself and my community, even though they don't like me, some of them, from another community.
But
is that bad? I don't think it is.
Why
But
is
they
it?
don't give a shit, Raj. They don't care.
Do
you know how many, Raj? You see after 9/11, how many Sikhs were murdered after 9/11 because they just looked brown skin, turban. He's
But those are not the people that I'm appealing to. I don't think you won't get it. Don't worry. I don't want to say my plan, but let me just say something. Those people are gone. Anyone that's to that point, they're gone already. Like there's nothing I can do or say ever that would ever make them change their mind. It's the people in the middle ground that are important. So Anyway, I need to shoot anyway.
Later on, Raj. Yeah,
anyway,
man.
take care, man. R.I.P. Gucci, man. R.I.P. Gucci.
Who's Gucci?
It's my dog.
Oh, you named your dog Gucci?
No, it's a girl. There's a bullet. We call him Bullet and Gucci. One's a boy, a black staff. Another one was called Gucci, a little girl dog, and she got put down yesterday. So, R.I.P. to Gucci, man.
Did you get him cremated?
2007.
Yeah. They're gonna be. I'm gonna scatter her ashes at
fucking £200, isn't it, for the little box?
I don't know. I'm not paying. It's not my dog. It's my sister's dog.
You're gonna scatter the ashes at Speaker's Corner. What is that?
No,
I'm that sounds like some Sikhi juju, man.
Yeah, I'm imagine that I'm walking around chucking it at like Ali Dawa and all of the people like with my Jaddu Tuna.
It's like a little dog Jinn running around Speaker's Corner.
Oh yeah, and also on here, I just want to say, look, nobody when it comes to the James SC, everybody just keep their calm. He's not gonna do nothing. I think he's just testing people's kind of limits, and even Sikhs, as you saw the other night, some Sikhs are not that calm. They're gonna lose their temper if you do something to their religious scriptures. And so Muslims, you have hotheads in there. But at the end of the day, I can't expect an atheist to respect my holy book. Yeah, all I can do is plead with him and say, look, dude, don't do it. And if for me, I would just take the book and run off and take the charge.
I think what you said there is important.
I would expect an atheist to respect the holy book just because we're civilized.
I think a lot of atheists.
I agree with that, Jordan, as well.
I think a lot of atheists would, but I think what you said there is key, Raj. And I think the important thing to point out is that those people who are going to react that way cannot be appealed to rationally. No matter how rational you think you are, and no matter how well intentioned you are, those people are not going to see it that way. And
well, I do the analogy of like, when you was at school, there was always this kid, and people are going to say it was me, but it wasn't me. There was a kid at school that you could rile up very quickly, and even if you'd done something, when you knew something would rile him up and he'd spaz out, you kept them doing it. Yeah, and there was always that kind of kid that would spaz out if you did something particular, and that's how some of these guys see religions, like we're spazzing out. And the way to defeat them is to just be civil. You can't, like I said, if James Speaker's Corner had my Guru Granth Sahib, I would appeal to him first. If he still wanted to do something and he dropped it, I'll just pick it up, I'd run off, and if the police come up to me and say you stole his property, I would take the charge and say, okay, hands up, I've done something. And that's it.
I think if anyone's spazzing out, it's James. I think most people. I think if you're going to do something like that in the middle of in public, there are going to be some, a couple of people that may react to it, and that's what you got to expect, really. It's that most Muslims just probably feel sorry for him and don't react, but there may be one that does it, and he'll use that, or people will jump onto it.
Maybe but I mean, I think even in the Sikh community, there might be one, but I appeal to everybody. Yeah,
right. If I turn up with a Bible in Speaker's Corner and started ripping it up, would you not expect perhaps one person to lose it with me?
It depends what you mean by lose it. I would expect someone to kind of say, look, I mean, it's the level of losing it. Like, are you gonna kill that man? Or are you going to condemn him or try and stop him? I mean, what level are you talking about?
Let's say someone kicks me.
What do you mean if someone kicks you?
Someone just comes up, kicks me. So, a use of violence, perhaps.
All right, so if someone kicks you, you kick them back.
Okay, but...
all right. So James SC is saying, I am considering it. All right, so sorry, I misinformed. I thought that he said he's considering it. It doesn't mean he's going to do it.
Well, if he does it, tell him we'll burn the LBGQ flag.
Well, it is interesting that what I want to know about James, and this is to James if you're listening. I would like to know if you got a possession that you love so much But I'll give an example. There might be somebody that has a 120-year-old picture of a grandparent, and it's only a one-off. Yeah, and imagine if I burn it, would they react to me burning that? So, I mean, I think everybody has something. So I'd like to know whether James has something that is so precious to him, and would he damage it in order to prove a point? Would you damage it?
James, the last person to do what you're doing was Salman Rushdie, and he ended up having a fat
Ali,
on his head.
what are you trying to get yourself? Oh my God, man!
The last person to do what you did, James, was Salman Rushdie, and he had a foot on his head.
God.
Raj, your whole Tommy movement was built off the back of Muslims burning poppies, and there was plenty of violence done.
That's a good point.
Yeah, and I agree with you. This thing about free speech, I've learned a lot since being at Speaker's Corner. It's so complicated about what is free speech, what is hate speech, what is provocation, and I'm still going through my own kind of journey about like what is kind of like acceptable. And I do believe that I have come to one rule in my head, and that is that if you believe in a religion or God, and
we got a troll. Yeah, you can't see anything anyway. Yeah. You can deal with it, Ali. Go on. Ali, do your cloning wonder. Yeah, go on. Big up to Ali Kaan. He's saving the day from the troll. No. It's Ali Kaan. Ali Kaan is doing it. Yeah, Ali Kaan's going to sort it out. Is it working? Sorry about this, people. Some madness going on backstage, but Ali Kaan is working on a solution. Yeah, some sad people. But yeah, we should be back shortly, hopefully. It only works what? Say that again, Ali. I see. Alright, we'll jump off this call and jump on the other one. Let me clone it. Alright, 2 sets, people. We've been hacked. Alright, cool. Give me 2 seconds, people. Sorry, we've been sabotaged, but should be back. Yo. Alright, Jordan M is back first through the door. I think this is how we kind of started off the show. So yeah, come full circle. Fucking hell. Apparently so, yeah.
It only works if the person was originally in a group, then you can kick them out. If they join via a direct calling, it doesn't work.
I see. Interesting.
Oh man, what happened there, man?
Yeah, I don't know. So I'm fairly sure that was Afghan. I'm fairly sure.
Really? Does he do things like that?
That guy's
Yeah,
vile.
he's that type. He'd do that.
Yeah, he's not really. He's not. Yeah, he's not revealing his hand. But I think that's probably Afghan.
Was that Raj's sister?
Yeah.
Good
She's
looking.
quite a pretty girl, yeah,
Yeah,
man.
that's what I
Mashallah.
I actually thought she's quite a pretty girl. So, yeah, I think we're big up.
Yeah, man.
Big up round. This is.
I'll come on the last call. Oh, it's Wendy. You know, this morning I went to the centre of Liverpool and put the red flag down high.
Moving because of that. Will you stop?
Ali, stop it.
Why are you racist to us Scousers? Why do you have a problem with us Northerners? Do we not have a right to live in our country?
Well, wait a minute. I'm from the northeast myself.
You're
Ali.
not. You know.
Ali, one day your testosterone's going to kick in, and your comedy career is going to be over.
Once puberty hits,
I don't have a problem with Northerners. I'm from the northeast, so I wouldn't have a problem with Northerners.
You know, if Liverpool became independent, the UK would become nothing. All the trade deals come through Europe, and we make and break the United Kingdom.
Ali, you're not old enough to know what you're talking about. Yeah.
We are the centre of the Europe. Europe needs Liverpool, and Liverpool needs Europe.
But Ali, you're not from Liverpool.
You're just
Ali, do you
a
get-
racist agenda
Ali,
against Liverpool.
Stop,
Okay.
Ali, Kaan, will you stop?
Ali, do you get a yellow
Okay.
bus to school?
I go on Steven Gerrard bus.
Yeah, we had to move because of some bleeding. Rain inside of it.
It's like a cliffhanger on that punchline, Land of Celts.
We proved you to be a racist against Scousers. You don't believe Scousers have a right to live in stuff.
All right,
Ali,
Kaan.
you're just a silly little boy. Be quiet.
Ali Kaan, it's true though. I think you're going to lose this comedic edge at some point when the testosterone kicks in. Your vocal cords are going to become more dense, and next thing you know,
You're going to be a tumbleweed. You're going to be a permanent tumbleweed.
I know this is a pretty old woman, Wendy. Go back. I'm chilling with my veterans in Liverpool, drinking green tea and coffee and stuff brought from your Bedouins. What have you done?
Bedouins. Bedouins are quite independent people, aren't they, Bedouins?
Big up the Bedouins.
We brought some nice Arab food to the UK. What did you ever do?
Bedouins don't live in the UK, you bloody idiot.
We got Arab food over.
Yeah, the closest thing we got to Bedouins are the things.
all right. I think we've got to get a crowdfund going for like maybe hormone suppressants for Ali Kaan, so we can keep his comedy career going. It won't be like a transgender thing. We'll just keep his vocal cords as they are. Preserve.
He needs thing that Dan. I was going to say Dave. He needs estrogen blockers. That's what he needs.
Ali Kaan,
That's put him right out.
Ali Kaan, walk down to the nearest comedy club, walk in and say, give me 20 minutes in front of the crowd.
James SC said, how old actually is he? 15? Nah, he's not 15.
I am 15. I am 15, and you'll be talking to a 15-year-old. I've exposed you, okay? It's called paedophile hunting, James.
Yeah, because we were all worried about that. Yeah. Off you go.
But to be fair, I mean, there's still quite a lot of these vigilante groups out there. You got Dark Justice and I don't know what else is there. There's Stinson Hunter. I saw him on like Australian TV the other day, talking about his career and his background.
I thought the police here in the UK had started to complain.
What
about
the
paedophile hunters? Yeah.
Yeah, I think when it first started out, it was like a phenomenon. I think there was probably one or two. I mean, citizens arresting people is it's a new thing to most. And
Dan, what they were doing was they weren't following the correct procedures.
Yeah,
so
there's
when the
procedures.
paedophile got to court, he would walk free.
Well, yeah, and I think it's fair that there is some kind of protocol that's followed.
Yeah.
But it seems like now they record everything. And they notify the police often in advance. So there's like a 10-minute period before police arrive, or 5-minute period, or
Entrapment
whatever.
is not illegal in the UK where it is in the US. So, for example, in the US, there won't be any pedo hunting groups.
No, they do it.
Entrapment is illegal over there.
No, they do it in There's what's it called? To Catch a Predator. Have you never seen To Catch a Predator?
Yeah, but entrapment.
Chris Hansen, NBC, just chilling there.
What's that then, Dan?
It's they did it years ago.
Oh, it's a bit different, Dan. It's not really the same.
You don't think?
Yeah, it's a little bit different. It's not the same sort of.
I was actually a year ago. I was listening to a debate on BBC local radio about this, and the presenter said that there won't be any these paedophile hunting groups in America because it comes under entrapment, which is against the law in the US. But we don't have an entrapment law, so they have to operate. I heard this on local radio.
It's not really entrapment, though, is it, Ali?
Not really. No.
What was that in the 90s? All the years that are over at least 40 in the late 20s will remember it. John Ramsey.
Oh, the little blonde American girl. Yeah.
I remember watching that when I was about maybe 19, 20. And it was quite old. The documentary was about maybe 4 or 5 years old at the time, even at that time. But she was a beauty pageant. I think the mother was. I can forget a lot of it now.
But how can you have a beauty pageant and she was 6? For God's sake.
They have it in England. They do it here. It's very.
I don't believe in it. I'm sorry. I think it's wrong. Dressing little girls up like that.
In Ireland, they have.
I agree.
And they like the competition, the finals just be held in England.
Celt, did you see that one about the girls that escaped from cults and they keep them locked up? And there's in America, this is a TV program about there's this group of people that they can contact, and they got all the spy equipment, and they go in at night undercover, and then they basically get the girl out. And then sometimes they want to go back and get their mate or whatever, and they have to go back in again.
It was on the Real Stories, that documentary.
Yeah. Apparently happens a lot, with these cults and that out in the desert.
Right, I've just found out the loophole in this To Catch a Predator thing, right? So the predator generally initiates the conversation, or at least chooses to go on the website or chat room with no enticement from law enforcement of any kind. After that, it's all about the chat logs. Who brings up the meeting, and whether or not there's any hesitation on the predator's part.
Yeah. The thing is, even with enticement, how is that bad? Like, if they're reacting to it and wanting to sleep with a child, I'd say the more we do, the better.
Yeah, I'd say so. I don't. I mean, the issue I've got. In fact, no, I don't really have an issue.
Lure them all in. Get rid of them.
There was a guy
but the issue of accounts being cloned. I've heard that case that sometimes innocent people have got caught up on it on BBC local radio. Again, I only know this because I was listening to your local radio show late night. It was a talk show, and the guy was talking about that he knew an innocent person got caught up in the mess.
Well, it's debatable, isn't it? How can you get caught up in it if you're online chatting away and pretending to be, I don't know, 14 or something when you're not, you're 42?
But Wendy, this is what I'm saying. You just keep moving. Even if a 12-year-old or a 14-year-old try to have a conversation with you, you're a fully grown man on a high street, your first instinct needs to be just to keep walking. Do you know what I mean? Like, these are the times that we're living in. Like, I don't know about Raj's little wet dream that he's having, that some 12-year-old white girl needs his help. But in the real world, just keep it moving, mate. Do you know what I mean? Unless I see someone getting run down in the street and I need to intervene, like, for my own peace of mind to think I've done the right thing. I ain't helping no one with nothing. I am not going to be the one. Do you know what I mean? Forget that. It's just mad.
But I don't think a society can function like that, if I'm honest. I don't think that's a society that we'd want.
Yeah, but Dan, years ago you could help people and do things. Mm-hmm. Now if you do it today, they look at you as if you're trying to do it.
Exactly. So there would have to be like about 10 other people there with me, helping me to that. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'd have to stand there and basically look around and see who wants to help me help that person. I couldn't just do it on my own.
Kaan, I'll tell you something about, this is a period from years, just in the last, say, 20 years, right? 20, 25 years. When I was a teenager in Ireland, say it be raining, it'd be raining. And when people were at the bus stop, waiting for the bus stop in the 90s, years ago, a stranger, would just pull up and say, "Where are you going?" I'm just going up the road, and he'd give you a lift up, maybe to the 3 or 4 miles, maybe 5 miles up to the shopping centre or into the city. And this would be, it wouldn't happen all the time, but it would be
But it's common.
Yeah, it was quite common. And this is what the 90s was like in Ireland. Now, if you opened your door in Ireland, they'd look at you, they'd jump back from you.
Yeah.
So society is completely changed. And if it's like that in Ireland, just imagine what it's like in England.
Exactly.
Completely different.
Mate, I'll tell you what, I was at Wood Green, and this girl was having an epileptic fit on the street. The whole all the people there were just going crazy, trying to give her mouth to mouth, trying to take her clothes off and give her compressions on her chest. People phoning the ambulance, they can't get through because everyone's phoning the ambulance. I was just standing there, I was thinking, these people are crazy. Just hold her down, stop her from fucking, the woman was bouncing 6 feet off the floor, she was having a bad fit. So I was saying to people, just look, everyone just calm down, relax. You know what I mean? She's having an epileptic fit. It will pass, it will pass. Don't need to fucking start hammering on her chest, ripping off her clothes. The people just going crazy. I don't know, man, what the fuck's wrong with people? Everyone loves overreacting.
Yeah, the society is just, it's not like it was even 10 years ago, never mind 20 years ago.
Yeah, it's nuts out there, man.
And all
is that a segue? Is that a segue towards Islam? It seems to be. It's like a downhill. Yeah.
I was surprised when I heard Raspect saying, "Yeah, we need Sharia law."
He's going to take the stick for that. He's going to take the stick for that comment.
You know that, innit? It's going to catch up with him.
Hear the old generation. We need. I do see it at the odd time, and you'd hear it in England. We need to bring back the death sentence again.
Yeah, you hear that a lot.
Yeah, bring back the birch.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
They basically.
Well, you see, you've got the goody two shoes that will always stay. But what if they're innocent? But we've got much more scientific ways now of proving guilt. So
also the reoffending rates are so high as well, aren't they?
Yeah,
especially for paedophilia, the reoffending rates are massive.
I wouldn't have a problem with hanging them.
There was a guy that went around raping 200 straight men.
Yes, I heard about that guy. Yeah.
There was what happened in City Centre. There was BBC everywhere. Town was blocked. It was all about this one guy, and there's police everywhere. And there was BBC just going around City Centre interviewing random people about it.
Yeah, I'm gonna get the video up. So, from what I remember, the guy was from Thailand. I think he's from a wealthy. He's from a wealthy Thai family or Malaysian family. Yeah, it was might be Malaysian. From a wealthy Malaysian family, came to the UK and was basically like a perpetual student. Just kept studying, kept getting more degrees, and just living the student life. And a little bit like what you were saying earlier about guys turning up at clubs sober to pick up drunk girls. He used to do the same thing, but with guys. So there was a guy who, this is one of the guys I think that might have led to him being caught. He sort of woke up after being drugged by this guy. Woke up in his apartment.
So being drugged. And then he ended up saying, "What the hell are you doing to me?" He ended up getting in a fight with the guy.
Yeah.
And he used to go around filming every single rape he did on his phone.
The name, there wasn't a Muslim name.
No, he wasn't Muslim at all, bro.
No, he wasn't Muslim, no.
No, because I do know that there's very few small Christians in Malaysia, and then the rest are Hindus. I think
it was in England. It happened here.
His name's Ray.
No, did you not? What was that guy that was from Malaysia? He was coming and he was raping 100 and something
No wait,
Oh,
sorry.
I don't
I'm throwing Malaysians under the. First, I threw Thai people under the bus. Then Malaysians. It was actually an Indonesian guy.
Indonesian guy.
Family. Sorry, I got there eventually. Interestingly enough, Indonesia is the most populous Islamic country. So I don't know. I'm not sure. Maybe.
Did you guys ever see that study? I can't remember the uni, or I think the percent was 70%. So they anonymously did a survey on men and asked if you could rape and no one would ever find out about it, would you? And 70% of men said yes.
Fucking hell.
And this was a university campus.
So Dan,
it's not a.
the way that the guy got.
I'd like to think
Dan, the way the guy got
Ali.
That is shocking. That is shocking and disgusting. I have to say that is disgusting.
So I'd like to think maybe it's a weird uni, but yeah, I don't know. It's a weird one, that one.
Wait, run that again, Jordan, because I was just processing the fact.
I'll try and get it up for you because I think I've got it in one of my other groups. They did a survey at university and it was anonymous, and men were asked, "Would you rape if no one would ever find out about it?" And it was like 70% said yes.
Let me see.
Yeah,
I just looked in his name, Riyadh Sagara.
That Indonesian guy, his name was
Reinhard Sinaga. Yeah, I've got him up on. Oh shit, no, I haven't got him up now. That was the dodgiest Google search I think I've ever made. Would you rape someone? Poll University. Wait there 1 sec. A third of male university students say they would rape a woman if there were no consequences.
Oh god.
A significant proportion of men who said they would force a woman to have sex did not recognise it as rape. Interesting. That was in America, I think. Roughly 1/3 of male university students took part in a study would rape a woman if there were no consequences, according to a new study. They were mostly white male American participants. 31% of all men participating in the study would force a woman to have sexual intercourse in a consequence-free situation, which is rape.
But surely the act of rape is the consequence of.
Yeah,
doesn't make sense.
It's not their conscience.
It?
Their conscience isn't one, is it? Yeah.
No.
So,
interesting.
What's the percent? What's the percent on that one?
31.7%. So basically 32%.
So was I thinking 7% the other way? Let me have a look at mine.
It's a third. It's still a third. That's
to be honest, 10% shocking, isn't it?
That's 3 people in every crowd of 10. That's kind of weird, to be fair.
What university was your one, Dana? Let me have a look at mine.
That was research was published in the scientific journal Violence and Gender. I think they were maybe Ivy League. I don't know. The study was conducted by academics at the University of North Dakota and North Dakota State University. The sample size was 86 people. Interesting.
I see. It's like a hillbilly state.
North
Dakota,
yeah.
Dan, what prison sentence do you think that your man got, the Indonesian guy?
Oh, you got a big one, man. You got a big one. It would have been
30 years. So that means
is that what he got?
Get out in 22 years.
No. That's all changing. You got to do your whole sentence, yeah.
But that means he could get out in his 60s.
Wow.
Well, I can confirm that this guy was raised in a Catholic family. So
he's just sick, isn't he? He's just sick individual. Yeah.
It'd be bad enough if he was going around and raping other gays, but he was raping.
He was picking straight men. Yeah.
That's hilarious.
Something tells me that prison sentence he got was the Liberals giving him 30 years. If that was anyone else, they would have got like 100 years to make sure he never gets out.
No, do you know what? They should have just given him 10 years, but in the Turkish prison. He would have come out of there like the fucking Channel Tunnel, mate.
Yeah, but 10 years in Turkish prison is equal to like 30 here.
Exactly. And they would have raped the fuck out of his bumhole.
Yeah. He wouldn't have got out.
He wouldn't have been walking straight when he got out, I tell you that. Nah. You get done for rape in a Turkish prison, mate. Fuck me.
Yeah, but
You've had it.
You've got to think of the victims. They didn't even know they'd been raped till they got a knock on the door from the police to say.
Yeah.
How do you mean? I think I'd know if I'd been raped.
No,
Well, nah,
some people didn't. Some of them didn't know they'd been raped.
This is the crazy thing, Kaan.
No way.
Yeah.
This is the crazy thing.
Oh,
I forget how he got.
Terrible topic.
Yeah, it's a fucking hell.
He was using an incentive, which is supposed to increase the hormones for sex. So he got them and they didn't know what was happening. He drugged them up, each man.
Yeah, but the drug that he used is kind of available for some other purpose elsewhere. You can just go on the internet and buy it. I can't remember what the drug is.
I guarantee you, Dan, if he was given the death sentence and they brought back the death sentence for him, you would have all these quote unquote human rights groups crying for, this guy.
Do you reckon?
Yeah,
he might be the exception.
No, they'd be there.
How comes when we start talking about this topic, Raindrop to Keir Watch all turn up?
Oh shit! Keir Watch in the chat.
Just wondering. Must be their sort of thing.
I thought they would run, Jordan.
No, they've joined in on this one, and James started speaking more as well.
On this rape one, the Indonesian.
No, Jordan. The thing is, James is still talking about Islam though.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
And so is the Keir Watch. They always have their own conversation about Islam.
Crazy
it's
motherfucker.
a Catholic doing it. They don't really.
They're not feeling the vibe.
Yeah, they're not feeling the vibe. You see.
It's kind of random though, because like I said, Indonesia is the most populous Muslim country. So the fact that he was Catholic sort of maybe says, I don't know. Anyway, that's the Catholics' problem.
But
I'm
there's
not
a lot.
so.
Dan, there's about maybe 10 million Catholics in Indonesia.
Is there?
And about 10 million Hindus as well.
Mm.
Yeah, there's a lot.
It's a big country. Yeah, it's a big country. Interesting.
About 90% is Muslim. The 10% is Hindus, Sikhs, Catholics, Christians, all different kinds.
Is that Indonesia?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been there. I spent like 6 weeks in Indonesia. It was a lovely place.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Beautiful.
You still came back single though?
Well, I wasn't Muslim at the time.
Right.
But before that. But I remember waking up in the morning, you hear these and I remember it's a completely different, because my view of Muslims back then would have been an Arab man with a beard. It was quite weird going somewhere where it's like Asian people, Oriental people wearing hijabs and praying and stuff. Very peaceful country.
Do you ever watch the YouTube channel called the Best Ever Food Review channel? The guy with the red bandana.
No.
He's been everywhere, innit? He's been Asia. He's been the Far East. Like, he covers countries like Indonesia. He's brilliant, man. That guy. Yeah. Yeah, he's been Iran as well. He's been everywhere.
Jordan,
He done a nice little segment about the difference between halal, haram, and makruh. Like, he really done it justice as well.
Wait, what's the third option there? Halal, haram, and
makruh. Makruh.
What does that mean? What's that?
It means that, like, you can do it. It's not haram, but it's not advisable.
Yeah.
Okay. Not advisable for what reason?
I don't know, like, whatever reason, innit? Like, you know what I mean?
It's more of a situation like.
Yeah, so what food would fall into that category? I'm interested.
You'd have to Google it, Dan, because
I wouldn't.
My mum obviously won't let me eat it, so I wouldn't know.
I remember having to eat curry for breakfast. But that was something in Indonesia. Bizarre, man. You wake up.
Some countries don't have breakfast foods.
No, they don't have cereal and like.
It doesn't have the concept of breakfast.
No,
it's true.
Yeah.
Imagine eating like heavy food in the morning. Just too much. Yeah, sometimes they don't have like breakfast.
Yeah. Just walk on the stinky breath, no breakfast.
So Dan, with that
Like-
thing, it's quite complicated, you know.
Yeah, like chicken in the morning. Waking up and having chicken in the morning.
No, prawns are halal. You can eat prawns if you want.
No, I don't think it's halal. Is it halal?
The Quran says it's halal.
Go on then. Tell us where.
It's that verse about the seafood. I'm gonna have to find it now. 1 second.
If Jews don't eat it, how comes Muslims can eat it there?
Bro, Jews don't eat camel. We can eat camel. We can eat horse meat if you want to.
Really?
Yeah.
I went up to a Jew once, innit? I went up to a Jew once. I goes to him, do you like eat prawns? He goes to me, prawns? Prawns? What is this prawns? I was like, no, man, prawns. He's looking at me like I was mad. I was like, they definitely don't eat it then.
Jordan, was the Dan wrecking your head when you were over there?
Yeah, I remember it waking me up, going off, and not again. But
then by the end of it, you
get used to it, man.
You sleep through it, yeah.
Yeah, you get used to it.
Yeah,
but like I said, it was such a peaceful place.
Which part you go to?
I went to 3 places. So I went to Jakarta, then Surabaya, and then there's an island called Makassar.
Yeah, there's the 3. There's Aceh, Sumatra, which is where they're beach.
Yeah.
Aceh is the most populated. That's where.
What kind of food was you eating out there, man? They mostly eat lamb.
I had a lot of fish,
most Muslims eat lamb, innit? Oh,
I
fish.
a lot of fish. I remember I used to go along the seafront or the beach, and there are these guys with spears. You go up to them, you say you want to eat, and they literally just dive in with a spear, and they come back with like a colourful fish.
Wow!
And they cook it on. They just set a fire and they cook it for you there, and you just eat it.
Oh,
walk on! Amazing.
It's a really lovely country.
Apparently, they eat a lot of fish in Bangladesh as well. It's got to be good.
It's sort of like a little bit. The food in Indonesia is a little bit sort of Chinese style, sort of similar. Not exactly the same, but a little bit with sort of maybe sort of Muslim.
But Dan, no one talks about all those grooming gangs. Is this Reynard Snabba thing not on top of them because this guy did 200
No, because that's an isolated instance of rape, I guess. I think the grooming gang term implies a group dynamic, and I guess also repetition. I'm not sure, but there's the kind of Quilliam or the Pew Research definition is what it is, and I think that's the working definition that people go by when they're having conversations. So it leaves out isolated instances, and it leaves out, and there's also a distinction between online grooming and what's called on-street grooming, from what I understand. So that's.
I was watching that documentary, Dan. Do you remember that? Remember the rape on the bus in India? Remember in 2014, I think. Remember they raped her with an iron bar?
I don't.
It was everywhere. It's all over the news, everywhere. The BBC made a documentary about 3 years later called India's Daughter. But it was about the girl that was raped on the bus with an iron bar. Do you remember that?
Was she killed?
Of course, she was so badly internal injuries. They raped her. They took thorns on her, and then one of them raped her with an iron bar.
No, I remember a story of there was like a young girl who was on holiday with her family in Goa, I think it was. She was from like a kind of hippie family, and she went out one night with like some guy who was like a barman. I don't know. I guess. Tourists are kind of also. Oh shit! Big up to Sid. Just slapped 50
Sid
quid.
Sid donated £50. Concrete respect. Welcome, blessed Dan. Sid thumbs up.
Have to do like karate lessons, defense lessons, to fight off rapists. Like every school child in India, and all the schools, they have like a self-defense classes as one of the class to fight off rapists.
Well, yeah, I mean that's something. If I brought a young young woman into the world, she's going to learn.
Yeah,
she's going to learn self-defense.
Yeah.
Because in fact, I think it would be easier for me to imagine being a father to boys, like men, because I don't know. I just think we can kind of navigate the world slightly easier. I would have more concern for my daughter growing up in society.
Well, especially there, like it's.
And this is one of the reasons why I think the narrative of they're raping our girls is a really powerful one, because people imagining that, like fathers imagining that, mothers imagining that, it's boyfriends imagining that, whatever it is, the men kind of have to shoulder that shame as a society, I think. The women go
also
for it,
though, if you've got daughters and sons, you realize when they get to a certain age, you still have to you still got to be more aware of what your daughter is up to, if you know what I mean.
Why?
Well, you just do. You have to like be aware of where she is, who her friends are, what she's doing, everything.
What? Because she could get pregnant.
Well, you don't want your daughter to be getting pregnant, do you? You don't want your daughter to be getting raped. You don't want your daughter to be getting.
Boys can get raped. Boys can get raped too.
No, I'm talking about the fact of what Dan was talking about, that when you have children, you do worry more about daughters. It's fact.
Yeah, even in the West, I know. But there's one big difference. When they do get pregnant, which is an epidemic in Europe and in America, when they do get pregnant, if it's another boy who's, say, same age or 2 or 3 years older, and he's white, nothing happens. But if the girl brings home an Arab or the Pakistani or
well, you don't know that. You don't know that.
Then it's, what are you doing with him?
Well, you don't know that.
Well, of course I know that. I know because I know what they're like. I know what Europeans are like.
Well, that can happen. That can happen sometimes.
And then they force them to say that he done this to you. You better not.
Oh, rubbish. Rubbish.
Yeah, it does happen. It does happen.
Well, anyway.
Into her head, and then before you know it, she was raped.
Listen.
It does happen.
When my daughter was in her young teens, she brought this boy home, and he was gay, right? And then I realized
you didn't know, but you knew.
He told me he was gay, right? And you could tell he was gay, like talking about curtains and things, yeah. And and I used to encourage my daughter. I used to say, "Yeah, go out with him, yeah, because nothing was going to happen, was it?
That's what
he
you
was
think.
gay.
What do you mean?
He was gay.
She would have come home with a pain in her backside, man.
No, he was as gay as you know. He was so gay. I mean, he'd rather sit and talk to me about curtains and carpets, and he
probably fancied you as well.
No, love. He was just gay. He's so gay.
I suppose some people are, innit?
Yeah.
Anyway, I just wanted to mention Dan.
Yo.
I think I found magruh is birds like swallows, apparently.
All right.
I've never heard of this type of bird called a hoopoe, apparently, is also magruh. And I'm sure that stingrays as well, certain types of prawns, apparently.
Yeah, prawns.
I don't know what the I don't know what the correlation is between them, but
big up to Nikki Travis on the prawns one. Interesting about prawns. Okay, I could imagine maybe if like it's funny, isn't it? How these taboos are established, like these food taboos, like you can eat this, you can't eat that. I'm sure most of it is kind of rooted in. Well, obviously, I mean, a lot of it is rooted in. We have to establish that certain things are poisonous.
Yeah,
like
dogs, Dan. We know what happens if you eat dogs and birds.
Well, who the
and
hell
bats,
eats
rabbits.
dogs?
Bats are haram.
Wait, are you inferring? We need to get Jan of Han China on here. I think he's got a face mask on as we speak. But yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure. Is there any proof that there's like kind of a transmission from eating like dogs?
They get it from the animal, and that's what the SARS was. It's like a newer version of that SARS that we had in 2003, and they're eating the bleeding birds, cutting it with their sewers. They're washing it in the sewerage water, and the disease is in the sewer, and they're washing the birds and the dogs in like basically sewerage water, and then they're eating it, and then it's going into the sewer. The disease. It's either going into the sewage, staying alive from the sewerage water, or it's already, and this disease is in animals, pigs, like people. They're like peasants, Chinese peasants, and they're living on top of pigs and birds.
And they don't slaughter the animals properly either.
Yeah, as well. No, we have to deal we have to bleeding shut down everything.
RS Sid has said that smoking is makruh.
What does that mean?
So it's like in the grey area between a halal and haram.
It's bad, but it's not completely
illegal.
It's about intoxicants. I guess it's subjective as to whether you decide it is or not.
Someone should tell Modine that then.
Well, yeah, of course, because you've got you've got like what's it called? Cat, the like leaf that Somali people chew, or some people. Cat, yeah, and I think they chew it in. They chew it in Yemen as well, I think.
Yeah, speed. It's speed. It's
Yeah.
basically the synthetic European or Western version, which is man-made speed. It's basically a natural version of speed, and it wasn't banned here only until about maybe the last 10 years.
Yeah, but all new drugs aren't banned, isn't it? Like if they're not known, they're not banned. You can invent a new drug tomorrow and it wouldn't be banned.
Yeah, but I think that there were millionaires being made off of that stuff. There was there's a few Somali uncles who cleaned up before the laws changed. I'm sure.
Yeah, hundreds of millions. Yeah.
And
They make me laugh in China the way they're running around with those masks on. Yeah, because it doesn't help anything. It's not going to stop you from getting it.
If I go to London, I'm wearing one of those masks, 100%.
It won't stop anything, though, Dan.
If I go on the tube, I'm wearing one of those masks, 100%.
It would 100%. With the bird flu, but on like the other thing, even when there's no bird flu, they wear those masks. This is what it's like I don't know, weird culture. That's what I don't know. Chinese, there's something I just don't understand about them. They have this weird sort of. There's no bird flu, yet they're walking. Even here in Ireland.
Right, I think we need to send Land of Celts to a re-education camp. We'll get your ticket booked. Big up to the Chinese embassy. I will accept donations. We can crowdfund. We can get Land of Celts out there ASAP. I would like to see China just so the Chinese government know.
Coming out of the mosque last Friday, right, and this is an area where there's a lot of Muslims, right, walking down the street, coming out of the mosque, the Jummah, right, and I see. The area that I was walking through just before I went in to get my car, and it's a lot of tourists in this area, and then it was like Chinese. They walk around with masks,
with cameras.
You can see that all the Irish looking and saying, they're just looking. Everybody who walks by, why are you wearing a mask?
You know what Irish people are like. Like you literally have to have a limb hanging off before even anyone asks you if you're all right or not.
Yo,
you know,
why are we getting family members involved? E.g., why are we getting family members involved in the comment section slandering people?
Who?
Don't.
James Jesse is slandering people's family.
What's he saying?
Don't worry about it.
He went around accusing Land of Celts' wife.
Oh, James Jesse like reposts everything that gets deleted.
Look, tell James I'm going. If he burns any Quran, I'm going to burn the LBGT flag.
James, with respect, if you could avoid doing that, I mean, if people get timed out, I understand there's maybe a need to put it across, but yeah, you're you're imposing your. Yeah, I don't know. Like, it's just a bit.
What's he saying then, Dan? What's he saying?
He said that basically he's reposted something from Afghan, and Afghan is trying to get attention as usual. He said, and this is the thing: Afghan has satisfied his own curiosities with Land of Celts. Like Afghan first, when he met Land of Celts, he was like, "Oh, this guy's a jihadi," and then after about a week and a half, Afghan was like, "Oh, no, he's all right."
Yeah,
like, I spoke to him. So I don't know. Like I used Afghan as like my measure, and if Afghan told me he was cool, I'm then wondering why Afghan's now gone back to saying Land of Celts is a Salafi jihadi who fought for Saudi and American interests in Syria. He's a low IQ IRA fanboy who's married to a Somali. Like, what's the point? James SC, just use your common sense. Like when this stuff is getting reposted, if you see it's just to trigger people, and it's like
he's actually very like him. You know, the two of them have a lot in common.
What's wrong with James SC? I mean,
you know what? This hangout.
I'm going to rip the Quran. I'm going to burn that and burn this. It's silly.
He's going through some.
He's an attention seeker.
I've met James at the park, and he actually seems alright. He's polite. He's nice. And I reckon it'd be the same for most of these guys in the chat. But this hangouts, I don't know. It brings out kind of their. I don't know,
even in the park.
What do you call that? I don't know.
Yeah, Jordan.
Yeah, it's
when
like
Anand used to put him in the park, he's like a little scaredy wussy cat, and he sees Anand's face, he's like, oh, and you should see his reaction on his face.
But when I meet Banksy in real life, he laughs at all my jokes. He's happy. He's smiling. You see him online, it's like a completely different creature.
Yeah,
and it's quite confusing. So I don't know. I guess that's the internet for you, isn't it?
Yeah, they're like they perform for the hangout, just like they perform for the park. It's like they come on and they're like a different person for the camera.
Yeah,
I suppose that's why Jordan people call me. It's like an inside joke that I bore people to sleep. The Muslims always say, "You're gonna send us to sleep now," because. I think it's like a joke because they say, "Oh, don't curse out anyone all the time. I'm not attacking or insulting." So there's no action. There's
Land of Celts.
You have to come on my channel one day because our conversation will just be, just bore everyone, man. We'll just speak for a couple hours.
Land of Celts. I know. Like you must hear it from a lot of people.
Yeah.
You got the best accent, man.
Yeah,
you lot got the best accent. I love it, man. Everyone loves it.
Takia Watch, and Takia Watch is in the comment section estimating people's IQ. He thinks that James SC has an IQ of 130, whereas Land of Celts has been estimated at 80, which is
James
20.
SC, one of his comments was Islam is gay. That was one of his comments.
Is that
130, yeah?
You know what? That basically sums up who they are. You know, they're just.
I don't mind if I was low IQ anyway. I really don't mind. I really don't mind.
Yeah, I've got the column.
Jordan, we're learning all the time, love. You learn every day.
I've
a couple of
points. The Conor McGregor accent, as they say. Can.
I love it when you say Jedley.
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 I can't help it. It's just the Dublin accent. I can't help it. Jedley and what is it? Torques. Not
thing. Celts. My girlfriend's from Kerry, innit? Yeah. She invited me to a family dinner, and her auntie goes to me, "Where you from?" I goes, "I'm from Turkey." She goes, "Oh," she goes, "You lot Catholic?" I goes, "Nah." I'm Muslim. And she ran through the living room going, "He's a fucking Muslim. He's a fucking Muslim." It was so funny.
The Kerry man jokes. You know, we have these jokes, and it's like
they're farmers, isn't it, in Kerry?
Yeah, they're like. Yeah. See, the Dubliners always just look at as the people in the south as like backward and stupid, which is
it's fair enough, isn't it?
Yeah, there could be a little bit of truth, maybe years ago, but not now because it's more modern. But it's gone now. It's not like it used to be. But the south of the country is all farming and small towns. You know, it's different. So yeah, they're very different. The south is a bit I haven't been down there in ages, but
it's a bit rural.
Yeah, it's rural. Yeah.
Yeah, it's nice.
Yeah, actually, it's lovely down there. It just
Mm-hmm.
and it's cheaper. It's like the life is cheaper than down there. It's not as expensive. Like everything, just like London. You know, one time, the first time I was in London, the first ever time I went to London, I went over with a guy, and we went to watch. I can't remember now, but it was £20 into the cinema. £20, and this was in 2004. Like £20 in today, like that's what's that? Maybe 28 euro in today's money. Like London is incredibly expensive.
Oh, so is Dublin though. Dublin's not a cheap city from what I know.
No, it's not. Yeah, you're right. Yeah. But Dan, it's gone like that in the last 10 years though.
Well, yeah, that's yeah.
If you go to where all the tourists go, like Grafton Street.
Yeah.
That's
Temple Bar. Yeah.
Like if you go into a shop, they charge you maybe like $2.50 for like a can that would probably be 80 pence. They just clean the American tourists out. I mean, and the Americans when they go over, they just pull out dollar bills, $100 bills. They know that's what I think all capitals are like that. It's not just one. In Turkey, the Turks, right? They have a price for the Turks and they have a price for the foreigners.
I'm Turkish. I'm Celt. I'm Turkish.
Yeah,
you know that?
But I understand it because look, they want to get the most out of it, and the people look. Turkey is really cheap. Like I mean, really, really cheap. If you get into a taxi in Turkey, you would go maybe 100 miles for about 20 lira. 20 lira is like maybe £12. They're €12. The taxis are unbelievably cheap, and they even wait there. Like they wait until you come back. But if you buy
what we normally do, I don't know whether to call you land or Celts, but what we normally do is when we land, first cab you get into.
Yeah.
He's just going to basically be your chauffeur for the next 3 weeks. He's going to be your best mate. He's going to be everything. Like, do you know what I mean? Yeah. That's normally how we do it.
Yeah. I think we talked before. You know that I'm like one of my favorite countries is Turkey.
Yeah.
You like the little buses. The buses are like taxis.
Yeah.
White buses. Yeah. There's a lot I like about Turkey, and then like the clothes.
Well, did you know they found a high percentage of Celtic DNA in the Turkish population?
Yeah, but a lot of that, the Celts were like all over Europe, and
yeah. They weren't. Yeah, they weren't Irish, because when you say Celts, people automatically think you mean Irish.
No, it's not Irish. Like
no.
The Irish descended out of the Celts. But then I wonder what happened to them, because no one really knows what happened to them. They were like an old people that just disappeared.
Yeah.
So.
But there's a good documentary on the mummies of Taklamakan. Have you heard of that?
No.
So in China, there's a place called Taklamakan, and they found all the mummies with the ginger hair and the tartan clothes. And the Chinese government tried to cover it up, but it was too late. Like the story got out, so then everyone was down there looking at the place.
I seen that thing in China. Where the soldiers? You ever see all the soldiers?
Oh yeah.
And they're all under they're like statues, and there's about 1,000 soldiers.
Yeah.
All they uncovered them, and they're like really old. I think maybe 5,000 years old, at least.
Terracotta or something.
Yeah. You're right.
Yeah, the Terracotta Army.
Terracotta Army. Yeah. Yeah, they're like they found them. I can't remember when, but they're like really old. At least 3,000 years old. At least 3,000 years old.
Amazing.
Yeah, but in Turkey, if you buy like clothes, right? It's like say something's like 100 lira, they don't say like €100 or 100. Say who's ever buying it, like if it's an American, they say $100. They just say 100. So it's really cheap anyway. So they go, it's only like €100, that's all. Yeah, or $100. But the real price is like 100 lira. So 100 lira is like maybe a quarter of the price.
Yeah.
So I'd advise anyone, when you go to Turkey, change your money into lira.
Yes.
If you don't change your money, which is still cheap, like it's still very cheap anyway. But except electronic goods, that's one thing I noticed. That like all tellies and all things like that. I think they're like very expensive in Turkey. But clothes and food and especially the kebab. Like, how can you not go to Turkey and not taste the kebab?
I'm telling you.
Like 150, or the best. There's ones for like a cheap kebab for like maybe 1 lira, which are still nice. And then there's the really like 250 lira, which is about maybe 175.
Yeah.
Oh my God, you never get sick of them. They're like a sandwich or something. The real kebabs, they're not like over here, like the way they're like a sandwich.
More like a snack than a meal.
Yeah.
Cool.
Food, you never get sick of Turkish food. I mean, it's just you go over. I put on weight. You would think you go over with the heat and that I'm going to lose weight. I actually put on weight. There's so much over there. Yeah. On the bike, I was on the bike and I flew over. It's in Izmir, and we were flying up the road and like. When those fakes, like the fake snake things that people mess with, they're just flying up the road on a motorbike. I'm feeling like a green and orange thing on the ground. And my sister was like waving it and going, what? Like, wait, like, meaning like, move out of the way. And there's like a big bleeding, luminous green and orange snake on the ground. I think someone drove over it, but it was like still going. There's mad things over there.
Fuck it up.
Yeah, they got loads of cockroaches and like crickets at night chirping, and it's different, isn't it?
When was the last time you were over there?
I went 1992. I went.
All right, I'll mute it up. So
It's too hot for me, man.
Land of Celts doesn't know that I'm still just trying to lead conversation for banner in the chat. Big up to the people who liked. Big up to the people who ride bikes. Big up to the people who've gone to Turkey. Big up the Turks. Big up the Kurds. What else have we got? I like bike, Kurds, Turks. We're gonna keep him engaged for about another 5 or 10. Joining them, big up yourself. Big up to Wendy K, big up to Wallace, big up to Jamie, big up JK, big up all the J's. The J's are representing today. Big up to Rashmar. Big up to Mr. Ali, big up Cam Dub, big up to Irish Flame. We do love the Irish over here as well.
I think they took Hashim as well, isn't
it? Alright.
Like a presentation, didn't they? Or a question and answer.
Yeah.
And they all come back with the Turkish hats on.
Did you see the guy with the ice cream cones?
Oh yeah.
They do, yeah.
That was class.
Yeah.
I'm back.
What are you laughing at, Tom? What's going on?
It's an inside joke between me and Jordan Emma in the chat.
Yeah, man, I was cracking up on mute for a while there.
Yeah, I think your accent is very endearing to the chat, Land of Celts. And big up to Kaan for keeping that one going. It was a good 10 minutes of bands, to be honest.
See, the forced. Most
people. The forced.
And there's actually a difference between the north side accent and the south.
No, I'm just listening. I'm just north.
You know what? It's really weird.
Yeah, I
can't stand the accent in the north. It really grates on me.
No. I mean the
situation.
Yeah, I know it's not nice.
No.
I mean Candide. Dublin, there's like, see the way London is split into north, south, east, and west. Like there's
How
four
we ended up
sides.
on this topic?
Where's Conor McGregor from?
Not far from me.
So your accent's like his then. So
yeah, like he's maybe 7 or 8 miles down the road. Yeah.
So we started talking about when I jumped on panel, those pedo hunting groups. Then we moved on to death penalty and that rape case, and then we ended up moving to Turkey. And then we ended up moving to Turkish food.
This is it. This is hanging.
Going on to Ireland and Conor McGregor. So we've covered.
He's not liked in Ireland anyway. McGregor.
We've travelled the world tonight, Ali Kaan. Yeah, man.
This is it, Ali Kaan.
We've gone from, and I thought we'd end up going from pedo hunting group to Turkish kebabs.
What's Conor McGregor's famous line? Is who the fuck is that guy? Who the fuck?
The fuck.
Yeah, that's it. You'll do nothing.
You'll do nothing. You'll do nothing.
See, he knows.
You'll do nothing.
Yeah.
I love them. What do they call them? Something negatives. I forget.
Oh, big up to Pat. Big up to Pat yesterday.
You'll do nothing.
Pat
You'll
was
do nothing, you will. You'll do nothing, you will.
Pat was dropping a verse on Jupiter. I could care less. I could care less. I could care less. Over and over again to Jupiter. Pretty much for about an hour. Brilliant.
And is it I couldn't care less or I could care less?
I'm not sure actually. I could not. I mean, yeah, I think couldn't actually. But I think he said I could care less. I think both work.
Yeah.
Both can work.
Double negatives, that's what they're called.
Yeah, like.
I don't think that's a double negative.
Is it not? When we said you'll do nothing.
You'll do nothing.
Yeah, that was Nate Diaz, wasn't it? When he said that too.
You'll do nothing, you will.
You do nothing.
It makes your brain flip trying to work it out.
If I start speaking a lot of the Dublin slang, you wouldn't understand. It's all like broken English and slang words, you know.
Why do they say how's the crack? Like, what does crack actually mean?
It means like it means the crack means how's things, how is a good, what's like what is how he is doing as well. I mean, it means it depends what way you use it in a sentence.
But why crack though?
Isn't it what's the crack, or did it actually say?
Yeah, what's the crack meaning? What's the crack meaning? Like what's happening?
I don't think they say how's your crack.
No, they'll say how's the crack, you know. What's the crack?
It's like alright, so yeah, Googling it. What's the news? What's the gossip? What's the fun, entertainment, or enjoyable conversation? Yeah.
Oh man.
He's up for the crack.
God.
Well, they wouldn't really use that. He's up for. They don't. That's not. They wouldn't say he's up for the crack. It's how is it? What's the crack?
Yeah, how's the crack?
Yeah, how's the crack? What's the crack? Like not. You are up for the. Yeah, it's a bit different.
Yeah, maybe that's an anglicised version. I've heard that as well.
And the Irish that they use in movies is just insane. No one talks like that. You ever see when they talk like? It's all they use a guy with a so-called Irish accent, or even the words they get wrong. You know, I think they're getting better now. They're getting better now because they listen to more. You know what's the actually?
My favourite Irish film was the Commitments about the.
Yeah, that's No,
that's the musicians, isn't it? That's the musicians. So
I like that.
Dublin. Yeah, they're all from Dublin. They're real like.
You know the girl that's in that? I met her in real life.
Yeah, they weren't.
The one that's she's in Star Wars as well.
Yeah,
I know which one. Yeah, I know which one you're on about.
Lovely girl. I met her in real life, man. Really nice.
Do you know who's from the same area as Conor McGregor? You know a famous actor, Gabriel Byrne.
Yeah.
You know him.
Gabriel Byrne, yeah.
Of course.
Yeah, he's in.
I cannot know Gabriel Byrne, man. He's in what's it called? Usual Suspects, yeah.
Yeah, I like Gabriel Byrne.
End of Days. No, remember the film?
Boyne. Gabriel Byrne.
Boyne.
Gabriel Byrne.
Did you see the film with End of Days with Arnie? Remember the one who used to Satan?
Yeah. He's the devil. Yeah. Top actor. Yeah. So you know what?
The worst accent I've heard for the Irish was that Leonardo DiCaprio in Gangs of New York. I remember thinking, this is
that was terrible. Now, that was worse than Brad Pitt in Snatch, wasn't it? That was bad.
Oh yeah, was it even a traveller though when he was at?
Do you like dags?
Oh well, that was all right. That was.
Do you like dags?
Yeah, that was actually
He's like,
good.
what? What are you saying, mate? You like dags?
Like that.
Oh, dogs. Yeah, I like dogs.
Do you like dags? Yeah.
Dags. That was the best one.
To see when he kills the mother and he burns down the caravan.
Yeah.
And you know that he's gonna, like, he sets them the whole time. They think, Bricktop, isn't it? Bricktop, yeah. See how you
Bricktop, yeah.
Bricktop, the English gangster guy, yeah. He says, "Look, I'll burn your house like I burned your mother." Then he just says nothing, and he gets him in the end. Like, it's great movie.
Yeah.
Like, when was that made? 99, I think. And the other one, Lock, Stock. Lock, Stock is not as good. I think Snatch is better than Lock, Stock, and it's too small and barrels.
Yeah, I wouldn't say so.
They're about the same. I think Snatch is a little bit better, not much better, but I think Snatch is a small bit better. Yeah, both of them are great, but to me,
Lock, Stock's the one with Vinnie Jones in it, isn't it? When he smashes the geeser's head in the car door.
Yeah. No, the Yardies, the two where they tried to rob the bank and.
Oh yeah.
They get caught
with a getaway driver. What was his name?
I forget. The fat guy.
I met him in real life as well. You know that he's a security guard. He does that. He looks after the football players' wives and things like that. Like, I saw him with some woman.
Yeah.
Some white woman. Like, she looked like proper, like posh.
Wait, I'm gonna have to get up the IMDb.
Big fat yardy looking bloke walking behind her.
That's the funny,
jokes.
That's the part I like. I think they for me my favorite characters in that was them.
No. When they're sitting in the car and he's going, "You're a good getaway driver, aren't you, Leon?" And he's like, "Of course I am." That was funny.
And they chop him on the good with the chops off the arm. Boris.
Boris
wait there, Kaan. Are you sure you're not secretly Nick the Greek from Lock, Stock?
Nick the Greek?
Oh, yeah.
You coming in here with that? What's going on here? Look all over your face.
I reckon. Kaan.
That's Blackwood, man. That's Blackwood is the Don, man.
Yeah. I
love that Bass Blackwood.
Rory Breaker. Yes, that's it. And Winston. Yeah.
Winston, yeah.
Nah, today I'm Mr. Breaker.
Yeah.
Big up, Witness. Big up, man.
Yeah.
I like the Northern Irish accent more.
I quite like the Northern Irish accent as well. Yeah, I do. I think the Dublin accent is softer. Is maybe a little bit easier on the ear, but I don't know. I quite like the gruffness of the Northern Irish accent.
It's a lot tougher.
Yeah.
Fermanagh in a skillen. Don't really appreciate you coming around my fucking neighbourhood, man. Fucking stay out. You're tough. I like their accents.
You got it down, man. You got the intonation perfect. That was good. That was good.
I learned from the best, Jerry Adams.
As you say that, either Adi Khan or Pat will turn up if you mention that name on the panel.
He's gonna turn up now.
But it was I think the first mainstream Northern Irish accent I heard. I can't really think. I don't know if there were any mainstream.
Yeah.
Accents.
Well, my accent, Dan, is like, I always say this to people because there is people in Dublin that don't. Like, my accent would be like the equivalent of an English Cockney accent. You understand what I'm trying to say? The accent that I have is sort of like
common.
Yeah, we call it common. It's a Cockney, like a Cockney accent in England. So your accent in Dublin tells you sort of your background. You know, there's like a posh accent. Like there's like a posh Dublin accent. Then there's
Did you ever see the film The Commitments, Land of Celts?
Yeah, we're just
Yeah, your accent reminds me of them.
Yeah, well, they're like working class accents, common accents. Yeah.
Celts, who's that woman that does the cooking programs, and her husband's a top chef as well? She's got a bit of a posh accent.
What is it?
She's from Ireland. I forget her name, but her husband's a top chef. I think he's Michelin-starred chef.
What station is it on?
It's on UK. Like she's famous here in the UK.
Irish chef.
Yeah, Irish chef, and his wife does like cooking programs as well. But she's got a posh accent.
Yeah, I'll check it there because I'm not going to say I know because I've never not really into that. I'm not Irish.
I'll find it. Don't worry.
Yeah, sure.
She's a celeb.
Oh, they're talking about the boxer, Daniel.
Yeah, that's Daniel Day-Lewis with an Irish accent, isn't it, as well?
Jerry Conlon. I spent 15 years in an English prison. Yeah.
I'm going out the front door with Jerry.
I'm walking out the front door.
Landy Celts, can you do a British accent, Landy Celts?
No, it's hard. London, maybe a little London. London is quite easy, you know. You are.
Nah, that's terrible.
You haven't got the fucking guts, mate.
What the fuck was
that? What was that?
Like that's all I know is from the gangster film.
That sounded third right.
Fucking guts, mate.
That sounded more third.
Yeah, it's actually quite to do it properly. It's quite hard. Yeah, English accent.
You need to watch EastEnders some more.
I know.
Dan, where's your accent from? You're not a Londoner, Dan.
Southeast, Oxford.
I always knew. I said that's a home county's accent.
Yeah, Oxford. Yeah, but I guess vaguely southern. It's probably I don't know. I lived in Brighton for quite a while, so that's kind of London by the sea. So you get a kind of like a Cockney overspill kind of accent mix down there as well. But yeah, I've come back, but I don't talk like a farmer. There's a lot of farmers.
Devon.
Yeah, that was maybe a bit. That was a bit West Country. Yeah, but yeah, basically Oxford leans towards Bristol and kind of rolls into that whole accent bundle there. So yeah, it's a bit of a mix. But yeah, I think I've kind of got the MLE multi. What do they call it? The MLE. It's fucking hell. What do they call it? MLE English.
Hey, London Celts, do you know a man
multicultural London English accent or socialect? Yeah, something like that.
Kaan, go on.
Celts, do you know Paul Rankin?
No.
He's a top chef.
I'll look up the face. I'll see if I know the face.
Yeah, find his wife. His wife's that super posh Irish accent. But I know what you mean about.
Jen Wallace does a Ralph accent. Can you guys do Ralph? I think Raspect does quite a good Ralph.
I'm much more fire right than that.
You're triggered. You're easily triggered. Look at
it's
him.
Just too posh.
You think you're fire right?
When I was talking to him more, I had quite a good one. He speaks.
No, I don't know them.
He sort of speaks in these sort of bursts and sort of likes to sort of. Yeah, I'm not as good if I haven't practiced, but yeah, he's like you can tell he's one of those people who thinks quickly and then tries to kind of force the words out.
What you have to do to sound like him is talk as if you're running out of air. Well, when he starts,
yeah.
What does stiff upper lip mean? What does that mean?
The stiff upper lip is your.
Do you know when you smell something and it's rank, and rather than go, you just sort of like try to hold it in?
Yeah.
That's a stiff upper lip.
You see, the thing about Ralph is that when you do his accent, you have to prove with a graph that the DNA of the white man is far superior than any other on the planet. It's quite simple.
Far more white than you.
Exactly.
Who's that? Who's that?
Jenn Willis.
Who do you think?
Oh my God.
I rocked it, right?
Smashed it. That was better than Witness. That was crazy.
Nah, but do you know who what's his name? That was a good one, Jen. That was brilliant. Do you know what we were talking about in Land of Celts? The guy Pat. You know who Pat sounds like when he talks? He sounds like Christian Bale.
Oh, Batman.
Yeah.
He hasn't got a strong London accent, Pat hasn't. It's like a sort of weak.
Is there a slight lisp in there as well? No, there's a slight lisp when he starts talking.
Nah, I've seen him lose his temper, and he was going to get into a fight at Speaker's Corner. He didn't sound like he had a lisp then.
No, but you know what? When he starts getting angry, he starts talking a bit more Indian. It's quite funny. Like the realness comes out.
But anyway, that's all I came for. I'll take my leave. Big up, everyone. Big up Celts accent all day, man. All day.
Big up yourself.
Thank you. Yeah. I'm supposed to be playing GTA, but I've been bullshitting. I think I logged out by now. But yeah.
What do you play on, Jen?
PS4.
Xbox. Everyone's on PS4. What's going on?
Everyone's on PS4. We're on. Yeah, I was just on with Jenn, Maku, yeah. Straight Roar Beats, everyone, yeah.
On a Super Nintendo.
PS4 gang.
Wait, is Jedi?
Was you not doing a little robbery on GTA?
Yeah, man. They love doing these death matches because they know they can just whoop my ass over and over and over again. And freaking, who is it? Ashley. This time, Ashley killed me like 6 times, man. I'm like, yo, Ashley, fuck you, man. Like, I'm done with your ass.
Oh no!
They got freaking weapons and armor and shit. I got nothing. I'm like, what the fuck? Yeah, man, they cheat.
Big up, Jedi.
Jedi.
Her name is Jenn, not Jean. Jenn.
Yeah. Jen is Jenn.
Yeah, I'm Jenn.
Are you a Southie? You're a Southie?
Oh my God! Please.
He's a paisan.
No. I'm from the civilized north of U.S.
Oh.
Yeah.
But the Southies are like from Boston. They're like.
Oh Christ! That's like I hate that accent. It's the ugliest. Goddamn it! I swear, like I really don't hate that many accents, but the Boston accent is just. It's like. Ugh. I don't know. It sounds so cheap. Like you can see the hottest guy, and he opens up his mouth with that shit, and it's just like spewing, and it's just a complete turn off. Like,
what's that film that's set in Boston? Leonardo DiCaprio.
Oh yeah.
And the Irish gangster.
Yeah.
Captured, remember?
The Departed.
The Departed. Yeah. Brilliant film.
It's about what's his name? The Bulger, the Irish.
Oh, that one as well. That's Johnny Depp. Whitey Bulger.
No, that one was the best one. That Departed was the much better.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's his name again? That guy. He's
Colin Farrell.
Colin Farrell. Yeah. He's good.
He's from the north side. He's from the north side of Dublin. It's called Kilbarrack. He's not from the south side.
You know, he auditioned for Boyzone.
Shame.
I can't imagine him in Boyzone. I mean, I cannot. And they're from the north side as well. So that's why he was.
Which one's Boyzone? Ronan Keating and them.
Yeah, Ronan Keating. The other one is what's the other one that was big as well?
That was Brian. Brian was in with
Westlife.
Who's in Westlife? I don't know none of them.
Oh, if you don't know them, yeah, because they're
I'm too old.
Yeah. In the 90s, it was like Boyzone, and then in the early 2000s, which is I don't know why I can't remember any of them, but I can remember Boyzone.
Brian McFadden, I remember.
Yeah, he was in Boyzone as well. Yeah.
All of those acts were they all groups that came under that Louis?
Yeah.
What's his name? Louis from X Factor, mate.
Louis Walsh.
Louis Walsh.
Louis
Yeah,
Walsh,
yeah. Yeah, because he's supposed to have had a questionable past. There was people who was, oh shit, I can't even say that. Yeah, in fact, I know. Yeah, yeah. I'm gonna refrain from saying that on the podcast.
No, you're right.
Yeah, I know what you're gonna say.
It came out here in the Irish media, but it was not widely known. But yeah.
Was his past like the guy who was the manager of E17? His past was quite dubious. Their manager, he's how he flirted with young boys and stuff.
Well, yeah, I can imagine that because that was
yeah, on that note, I'll see y'all later.
Big up yourself, Jen.
Bye, guys.
Who was the singer of E17 again?
Brian
Harvey.
Yeah, see the state of him now. Oh my god!
I've seen him in real life.
You
know, stands outside the pub, man.
Yeah, he definitely has mental problems.
Is it true he comes on Hangouts?
No.
He wouldn't be able to function.
He does live streams, and interestingly enough, I was going to say, if you mention his name around Wendy, you're going to get there's going to be a deluge. Yeah, she's like, I think amongst other things, she's known for. No, I think she calls bullshit on him. I don't think she is.
What, because of all the things that he tried to expose? That she hates that.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
Yeah, but this is the thing. I don't know what he's exposed. If I'm honest,
I think he said he went to some clubs and there were some underage children there.
I believe that.
The number one.
The nightclub you're talking about was called the Red Rooms. He was taking
That's it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, with that girl who used to be in EastEnders, whose name I forgot.
Daniela Westbrook.
Yeah,
that's it. Yeah, Daniela Westbrook.
And they went through a whole bunch of corridors, and they walked past one area, and he saw two young kids dressed up. The girl was dressed up in makeup, and there were lots of middle-aged men surrounding them. And he said, "Oh, what's going on here?" And he said, since he said that, his life was never the same. They've been persecuting him.
Yeah. You know,
should have kept your mouth shut, boy.
You know Matthew Wayne, him and his not the guy that does all the videos about the nonsense in Jersey and Isle of Man. Like it's actually Matthew Wayne's father. The guy.
Yes, you're right. I've forgotten his name. Yeah. We were talking about that on Dan's channel, Matthew.
Yeah, he came on once.
It was actually him, E17. He was with him, and he was talking about they were putting money together to make a documentary, and that's the last time I looked them up. I think it was in 2016.
Yeah, the documentary's out. It's a good documentary.
Yeah, they made a documentary, and then another one was supposed to happen, and then it didn't happen, and they were fighting over it.
They've fallen out in a big way, both of them.
Yeah, but I didn't know that it's actually Matthew.
Thank you very much, Worldwide UK. The name we're all looking for is Bill Maloney.
Bill Maloney, yeah.
That's it.
Great, like some of his documentaries. They're just the best one is the Sun, Sea,
Satan or something.
Yeah, Sun, Sea, and Satan. Like that's when you look at his videos, and some of them are way before all the grooming thing came out. And you see that it's in England, all the politicians, Edward Heath, the prime ministers. It's just a tradition of it. Like, and nothing happens. Nothing like his documentaries, all the boys' homes and Christian Brothers things. The same thing in Ireland. Exact same thing happened.
Yeah, you had the King Cora thing.
Yeah,
King Cora Boys' Home or Children's Home. That was disgusting what MI5 did. When people found out what was going on, they decided to use that information to blackmail the people who were running it because they were linked with a UVF or.
And you will tell me because I don't know much anything about the culture in England. But what's David Stringfellows or something like that? What's that?
Peter
Stringfellows.
He died last year.
Well, that's the video that what's his name from E17, Brian Harvey. He was meant to make a video with Bill Maloney, and he was talking about that there was loads of girls and underage boys being brought with Peter Stringfellows. Oh, what was the guy that died? He actually they arrested him. Remember the public affairs guy? Oh, what was his name? He actually died there in prison. remember he was like in the mid 2000s. He was, you know, everywhere on X Factor, or like, I know what's all the singing thing and Big Brother, and what's the guy that used to do the public relations for all the singers and the media and all.
Oh, him, the guy with grey hair, very famous.
Yeah.
Used to wear glasses, tall guy. I'm forgetting his name. Very powerful in the UK.
Yeah, like this guy in the. For those who's like too young to remember,
yes. No, I know his name. It's
so
Max
big.
Clifford. Max Clifford.
Max Clifford.
What happened to Max Clifford?
Yeah, Max Clifford was seen bringing in 11, 12, and 13-year-olds into Peter Stringfellows with Bill Maloney, and Brian Harvey was going to fund that documentary. And I don't know whether it got finished or not. So that's what the last time I looked them up, they were fighting over it. But he eventually got all these people. They got them. But I believe many more got away. There's ones out there that have never been arrested. Maybe they know too much or whatever. But yeah, like Max Clifford.
What did he get arrested for? I'm gonna look it up now.
The same thing. They only got him on a few things, but it was enough just because he was old enough, and then the prison basically killed him. But all these.
What is he dead? That guy.
Yeah, that was the same time they arrested Rolf Harris.
Yeah.
As well.
He's guilty as well.
Yeah.
Rolf Harris, Max Clifford, all of these people,
But
them.
they never got Jimmy Savile though.
Yes, yeah, because he was the master. He was like, he knew too much. He would bring down the whole monarchy, both political parties.
Fucking hell.
He would just bring down the house. I mean, he was protected. They, at all costs, both the establishment, the political parties, they said he cannot be arrested. If he brings down, he'll just bring down everyone.
Worldwide UK's just mentioned Giselle Maxwell. What about her? Yes.
Ghislaine Maxwell, yes. Yeah.
Most people forget about who her father was and what he used to.
Yeah. Well, he was basically the Rupert Murdoch of the sort of late 70s and 80s, wasn't he? Yeah.
He died in suspicious circumstances.
Do you know what else, Dan? You know the guy out, the drummer out, or the guitarist out, the Who.
Oh yeah, he got into trouble as well. Pete Townsend.
Caught red-handed, looking up and he was arrested. Right now, this same guy.
And he made an excuse that it was for research purposes.
Yeah, he said it was for research.
And this is in 2003, when before the internet was still only really beginning, right? But he's there on the YouTube. People to be fall out, like he's a big movie.
And the YouTube.
You know, they make it out as if he's never been arrested, and the media never says anything about it. Never. Like, why doesn't? I don't know. It's just crazy. It's just.
But you know what's even weirder? When you look back, you start to cringe when you look back at the rock groups that were popular in the 60s, the 70s, or rock and roll from the 1950s, and you see a lot of their groupies.
Underage. Yeah. I forget.
This is what I said. John Lennon is in an interview in 1975. He's actually explaining about how all the young girls, and all of them done it. All of them. It's only now that many of them, like, it's just looked at, we can't talk about, we have to. I think it's all the lower level people that's just getting caught. All the top level, it's just, he's too big to arrest. It would bring down the music industry. They all done it. That was what was done. I think Jimmy Savile was just like the one that he picked out.
It's like a culture. It's a culture.
Yeah, it was a culture, Kaan. It was like all of them were doing it. You should watch that document or the.
Can't, man. It turned my stomach, man. I stay away from shit like that.
It's a John Lennon interview in 1975, right? It's the last interview that he done before then he just went missing and then he was killed. But he's talking about all the groupies and girls and their fathers. He actually says this: the girls' fathers are looking for them, and they're hiding the girls away from the fathers and the mother.
There was a guy called Laurie Maddox or Laurie Mattix. You can spell it a number of ways. LORIMADDOX. Edix, and she was, I think, famous for losing her virginity to David Bowie when she was 14.
Yeah.
And then just went on this like.
Wait. Are you sure it was David Bowie and not Jimmy Page from Led Zeppelin?
Jimmy Page also slept with her, and I think she became like sexually active on the groupie circuit kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I think, she probably slept with a lot of people when she was. Oh no, sorry. She was 15 when she met David Bowie, should I say? But I think she was with Jimmy Page. Who else? I think he'll be on the screen in a sec. Yeah, loads of people, and she also brought other girls in, and she was kind of It's interesting dynamic.
So
go on. I was going to say I met this girl once. Yeah. She told me that when she was in uni, she fucked Louis. What's his name?
Louis Theroux.
Oh no. Wait. What's that girl? Lily Allen's dad. She fucked Lily Allen's dad.
Oh, yeah.
She goes to me that he used to do it a lot, go to the unis and all that. Like, obviously, like they're legal, but still, like they're 19, 20, whatever. Like, and he was like 50, 55 and whatever. Like, so I know, I still think that's wrong. Like, I know it's not pedophilia, but it's still creepy, man. It's like,
like, see, it's just, all of them are doing it.
You saw what happened to Jerry Lee Lewis though when he came to the UK back in the 50s.
Yeah.
He turned up at the airport with this young-looking girl, and then many people were like, "Who's that?" And then one reporter asked him, "Who are you?" And then she goes, "Oh, I'm his wife." It's like, what? They asked her, "How old are you?" And she lied. She said she was 15, but she was 13.
Can you believe it?
Is it?
Witness,
do
you know?
Sure enough.
Like, I don't know. Like, I think Witness is like closer to my age. Do you remember David Niven, the actor?
Oh yeah, the English actor. Yeah, David Niven.
And he was close friends with that guy. Who was the one who was in? Was it Gone with the Wind or whatever?
Clark
Gable. Did he get done for like being with a 15-year-old girl or something like that?
I can't remember. Probably. I can't remember.
Like back in the day, like, and I think David Niven was talking about it, and it was like we used to sleep with so many girls. He was saying that, like, we just used to go like every year we used to go for the younger and younger and younger, and in the end, he goes like they slept with girls that were like 15, and they didn't know, like they thought they were 19, but like turns out that there was a police raid, and they caught the girl and she was 15, and I think he got done for it. I think it was Clark Gable. I just have to look it. I'll look it up. No, Errol Flynn. It was Errol Flynn. It was Errol Flynn. Yeah. He got
it was all
done.
pretty normal back then, wasn't it? I think you even hear stories of parents giving over their daughters to celebrities and stuff.
Definitely,
like that. Bizarre culture.
Well, like Michael Jackson.
Oh man.
What's this?
But have you guys ever
Home Alone? That guy from Home Alone.
Have you ever had conversations with like older people? Because I speak to when you speak to the older generations, when you talk to them about, say, a grooming case or something like that, often they'll say, "Yeah, but the girl was promiscuous." Yeah, but the girl. They do have this kind of different attitude to the younger generations, I've noticed.
Yeah, and there's something I wanted to mention to you guys that you've never noticed in this mainstream film, and this guy pointed it out to me. It's a movie called Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Yeah.
Remember when he goes looking and he meets up with his old ex-girlfriend, and he meets her. She's in Tibet somewhere. He comes into this bar that she's running in Tibet, and then he sees her. He smiles at her, and she gives him a right cross, almost knocks him out. And then he's like, "No problem." And then she goes to him, "I was a kid. I was in love. You took advantage of me." And then he goes, "Yeah, but you knew what you were doing." It transpires that he was in his 20s and she was like 12 or 13. And apparently they had an affair.
Yeah.
And it's easy how that just gets slipped through in the film.
They
one
put it
picks up on it.
A lot of the directors, they put a lot of the old Hollywood films in the 70s and 80s. They put a lot of the directors put in certain messages into films, you know, that like what they believe, certain.
Oh, well, that's subliminals.
Yeah, not even subliminals. They just put in a certain message that they want, that they think is what they, a certain belief that they have. They just put it into the movie, you know. So it just goes to show you what only 20, 30 years ago, how different the attitude was, like, towards now. It's so like all the Beatles done it.
I felt so dirty because Indiana Jones was a hero, and I saw.
Yeah, this is what I'm saying. I don't think I can see it the same way. I think I've got the footage up on the screen at the moment.
Yeah, you have it.
What, you mean Harrison Ford?
Yeah, it wasn't Harrison Ford. It was the character he was playing, Indiana Jones. It's up on Dan's showing it. It's that scene. Well, it's before this one. Yeah,
I think I found the right one now. Yeah.
And she hits Indiana Jones, and if you listen to what they say, she's pointing out that she was quite young and he took advantage, and he's like, "Yeah, well, you knew what you were doing." It's like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, that's where you get the casting couch. You hear this now, the old Hollywood saying the casting couch.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That's still going on. Mr. What's his name? That's in the news. Who's pretending to be
Harvey Weinstein?
Yes. Yeah. You've seen his brilliant acting. He can't walk properly all of a sudden. Oh my gosh.
But I just look at him as just like all the other directors. They all done it. It's just that he's getting picked out.
Yeah.
Guys, I'm going to shoot off to bed, but big up.
Yeah, big up. I think we're gonna.
It's nice being on a panel where I'm not being interrogated.
Switched it up. Yeah, man. Big up yourself, Jordan.
Big
cool,
up, man. Big up, everyone.
Later on.
John.
Yeah, I don't think I can see Indiana Jones the same way. I think that's changed.
Yeah, it's weird seeing that. But you know the funny thing is, they end up getting married in part 4.
Is Indiana Jones based on like a novel? Was there
No, not really. It was based on, back in the day, they used to have these comic books which had cliffhanger endings. So Spielberg decided to bring that to the screen. So they had the idea of you know, the kind of stuff like Flash Gordon.
Yeah. Okay.
They decided to do the same for this character, so they brought it to the screen.
I was going to say, if they revived some like sort of late 19th century work of fiction that had questionable, like, maybe then you could understand it. But yeah, this is something Steven Spielberg conceived of. Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, because I've seen a documentary where some people try to suggest that
George
Spielberg
Lucas
has dubious tastes behind the scenes. There's Abrams, that science fiction director, Abrams or something, who's quite famous. He directed the Star Trek movies.
Oh, yeah.
JJ.
Yeah, he got into trouble. There have been lots of accusations of him messing around with people much younger than him.
Yeah, they all do it. That's like, they're just picking out. They've all decided to get rid of one guy and just loaded all the blame onto him.
But that's nothing. You want to know the scariest thing, Land of Celts?
Yeah.
There's a link that I found for this guy who was doing a documentary, and he was showing videos of what was the name of that woman, that young girl in the 20s that was very popular, and she was, or was it the 40s? And she was on TV. She was like very famous.
Shirley Temple.
Thank you very much, Shirley Temple.
Yeah, she was.
And this guy was showing clips from various films where she was always surrounded by men. She was being fondled by men, and they were putting her on her lap, touching her. There's one scene that he shows where there's a guy dancing with her, and he pulls her, and her face goes towards his groin. It's like
it's that they put the messages into even at that time, like even at those films at that time when there was like hardly any sex and film.
The worst scene. There was one, like, they had like by a petrol station, all the kids were acting. So some kid was acting as like a gas pump attendant. And the way they had the nozzle of that thing, it looked like a man's appendix or whatever. Yeah. And the kid put it close to his mouth. And they were like, that's a bit dubious. Why would
if you actually look at all the old films, it's actually... They're not even pretend like the messages that in the old films is even more provocative than even the one, like the old films. It's just that they couldn't there's like what's that, like the motion picture thing of America where they they do the ages and things. They were always
I've forgotten the F. Is it the FCAA? No,
yeah, something whatever it is, like they do the thing. Sure, even now, what used to be over 18s today, they do 12s. Like a lot of the films that to get the the people into the seats. Many films that only say in the 90s or up until the late 90s, early 2000s, that would have been over 18s are now being passed for 12. Like the films today that are given a 12 for is just crazy.
It is scary though. The older you get, the more you find out about the hidden messages which were in that.
And the 16s, the 16s is like just anything. Like if they put a 16s on a film today.
Hey, can I ask you a lot of question?
Sure.
You know that film Jumanji with Jack Black, when he's like apparently a 16-year-old girl trapped in the body of a 45-year-old man. Did you not find that weird?
Oh, I never saw that.
I never saw that
trailer.
You mean the first one with?
Yeah, because it's a little bit like transgender sort of promoting.
What did I tell you, Kaan? They put
it's really bad. I had a row with my girlfriend because she was letting the kids watch it. I was like, "Why are you watching this? It's promoting transgenderism." She's like, "Shut up, man! Like, why are you always going on like that?" I was like, "Listen, these people are sneaky."
Yeah, they put their political beliefs into the films, and you wouldn't even back then we didn't even notice it, but now we know because they're putting out, they're just saying it in public. At that time they weren't allowed to. Put their thoughts into action, but now they're just.
I remember working in the cinema. This is going way back when I was at uni or just before I got into uni. And there was a film that came out called Junior, and Arnold Schwarzenegger is in it. And he plays a man who gives birth to a baby.
Yes.
And I literally remember a father pulling his kids out of the screen and complaining that he wasn't going to let his kids keep watching this nonsense. And I didn't. I said, what's the big deal? He goes, oh, yeah, because there's a man there who's going through the process of having a baby, and that's wrong. Kids shouldn't see that. I was like, oh, yeah.
Yeah. See, and now look at it. Look what's happening today. See, it's just 20 years ago, they were putting their political beliefs into movies, and now they're putting it into action. Just nuts.
Controversial one.
One of the benefits of being a foreigner, you're not really sucked into this whole hype because it's not for you. But unfortunately, a lot of the British people, television really seems to hypnotize them. Like they really see it as the center of their culture.
Yeah.
And it's like, and they're not in charge of it. Other people are in charge of it, and it's like really money orientated. So it's quite corrupt, and I feel sorry for them. It's like a new advert comes out, and the next day you see everyone doing I don't know, it's like my ex, like the one, not XX, right? But anyway, like I used to watch her reactions to live, and then I used to realize that there's a correlation between what she's seen on TV and what she's buying. Like she used to do things like, she used to buy the new Kit Kat flavors come out. The new Kit Kats come out. She'd go and buy it, and she'd be eating it at work, at lunch, chatting with her mates about it, having a fag with them, chatting. And I'd be like, wow, like you lot are really into this culture. It's like she used to watch thing all the time. Hollyoaks, do you know Hollyoaks?
Yeah.
Yeah, like have you ever watched it?
We used to. I know
it's really bad, man. It's like every character's either gay or like something's wrong with them. Like it's just terrible, man.
Yeah, it's like more for young people. Hollyoaks. It's
really like brainwashing.
That's like all of this. I noticed all this when they started to put all these like political beliefs into series was around the mid 2000s, around maybe 12 or 13 years ago. That's when they started to put all these sort of political beliefs. I remember that in 2005, that Brokeback Mountain came out.
Oh, yeah.
And that was 2005. That's when it all started. And then that's 2005, 2006, 2007, 2008. 3 years later, Obama.
I think I'm going to lock off the stream. Get myself some sleep. Big shouts to the panelists this evening, this morning. Jenn, big ups to Jordan M. Big up lad of Celts, the Turks, the Kurds. Yeah, I don't know, that was banter, I can't remember, I'm too tired now. Big up to Kaan, big up Raj, big up Raspect, big up to Wee Man, Wendy, big up to Witness as well. Big up to the chat. Probably be back some point before the weekend. So yeah, hit like, hit subscribe if you haven't already done so. And we'll see you again next time.
The first cabinet was completely overran.